There's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place like home, except if you're a NASCAR fan. And then it's right here at the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway. Welcome, everyone, to the Blazing Pedals ARCA Series. I am Derrick Watson, and, well, I'm just with my thoughts here because I am alone in the booth tonight for this race here in the Blazing Pedals ARCA League. Welcome, everyone. Glad you're with us here live on Green Flag TV. Thanks so much for tuning in. And we're excited for a long night of racing, the longest race on the Blazing Pedals schedule. Let's take a look right now. You'll see here the stages tonight, 48, and 96. And then we'll go from 96 and all the way to a lap 240. So a long way around there, about 144 laps under green. Next week, Justin Prince will be back. We'll go to the New Atlanta, the Super Speedway version. Then Martinsville, Milwaukee, Vegas will round out the month of August before our holiday break. So lots of good, exciting races here up on the schedule. Some great races in 4 really different tracks. I mean, yes, you have Charlotte and Atlanta, kind of both mile and a half, but super speedways. The short track in Martinsville. A little bit of the wild card, maybe the unknown for some drivers in Milwaukee. And then we'll finish it off with your classic cookie cutter at Vegas on August 24th. But how do the points round out? Let's take a look here and see how we're doing in Blazing Pedals. Dalton Kilroe is slowly walking away with this points title, over a 50-point lead over Taylor Butcher Benjamin. Justin Levine, once our points leader, has fallen back. He's now about 111 points off of Kilroe. Then Mark Arthur and Brian Zimmerman round out your top 5. And then still some battles on back there. John Perkins, Cody Gibson, Chris Carroll, Brian Dees, and Trevor Harmon rounding out your top 10. The other points format we have in Blazing Pedals is the team format. Now, this has become a little bit more interesting lately. The way this works, you take the average of the best and the worst finisher on your team. You get that number. Whichever team has the best average earns 1 point. At one point, 2 dudes had begun to walk away with this season, but recently MFRD has really done pretty well lately. So they're up to 3. Pit Lizard, 1 Sim at 2 points apiece, and then Blackhawk, 5 Kings, Team 5 at 1 point. We'll have to take a look at the schedule and the points. It is time to take a look at qualifying. We're about 3 minutes into the run. Some drivers have set a time, but on track here, still plenty of drivers to go as we come around the daytime here at Charlotte, and that likely will turn into at least sunset, if not darkness, before this night is over. This right here is the 76 car coming on around, right in the middle of the corner, up to the wall. That's Rick Thompson. Got the nice driver suit photo on there. This time by set a lap of a 30.063. That temporarily puts him up in P3. Only 4 drivers so far with times on the grid. So we'll watch Thompson again up to the top. Tracks out pretty well. Up about as close to the wall as one can get here at Charlotte. Gets down in the corner for turn number 3. Rides it on through. Off the gas a little bit. Back on the gas. Up through this quad oval, the dog leg, whatever we call it. This time by a faster lap of 29.854. That puts him up 1 spot in the P number 2. This is Dalton Kilroe, your points leader right here. Dalton, we like to call him Mr. ARCA, races at lots here on Green Flag TV. He'll be the beginning of his first green flag lap, and you see him up there kind of riding the super speedway line, trying to get this car revved up, get some juice in it, maybe get those tires warmed up, so his second lap will be good. And we'll see what he does here. Watch him here, see if he ever digs down to that corner. Not really. Again, trying to ride the outside, trying to get these tires warmed up. And I bet this second time, he'll ride it on around here. So 33.47 his first lap. That'll temporarily put him in P5. I bet this second lap is faster down to the bottom of the track, hugging that blue line. Comes up out of turn number 2. Leaves a little bit of gap to the wall. Down into turn number 3. And we'll see what he does with the track here. Start to drift it up. Just keeps it off the wall, out of 4, down through the quad oval. And we got a 29.605 is going to be the final number. And that is your pole sitter. Larry Bell, the Canadian. The blue and red car is up next here in qualifying. Currently on his first out lap, and see what he set to the first time. So the trend so far has been for everyone think your first lap is slower. That's a definite slower lap. A 32.053 compared to what we've seen so far. And 0.55 is what they're going to officially score it. Wait for him to come up here out of the corner. Leaves a little bit more gap to the wall than maybe he wanted to. It's now going to come down here into turns 3 and 4. Start to drift up a little bit soon. That car might be a lot to handle. Comes it down and cuts that part of the Toyota restart zone. And that's a good number. That's going to be in the 29s. That's a 29.972. And that puts him P7. Trevor Harmon now black and magenta, the old T-Mobile colors, if you will, as he has the Team 5 Motorsports on the car. Watch his time around here. So tonight, remember, a long race here. Remember, last week, Trevor Harmon won in this theme, so maybe a bit of driver superstition. And the team points is what Team 5 won. Sorry, not Harmon, but Team 5 won in the points last week, picking themselves a team point. Remember, this is a long race tonight. Remember, stages are 48 and 96, and then all the way out to 240 thereafter. Blazing Pedals wanted to emulate how NASCAR does their longest race of the season at Charlotte, so Blazing Pedals will do the same. So we're in for a long night of racing here in North Carolina. Going to be joined tonight by a few friends from Green Flag TV. Maybe do some driver interviews. I think Nolan Rimple's going to stop by for the finale of the race, so we'll keep some names and faces moving throughout the broadcast. But right now, what's moving is Trevor Harmon. A 29.790 is good for P3. Meanwhile, Brian Zimmerman in that old Texaco-style paint scheme. I think Brian first maybe debuted this during one of the throwback nights and has stuck with it ever since. Here's Tanner Marr and Cody Gibson. So everyone's on track. Gibson had a great run last night in the SRA NAS Classic Series. Unfortunately, had his win taken away due to a restart violation. Went from finishing first to last on the lead lap. So in Cody's mind, he can say he won the race and he'll have that memory, but the stat book will say otherwise. Coming down through the quad oval once again, this is going to be a 29.686. That'll put Cody Gibson up P2 on the board. Lots of drivers wrapping up the qualifying times. Only about a minute or so to go in this 10-minute qualifying session. Glad you're with us here live on Green Flag TV. I hope you're having fun, enjoying the race, and getting settled in. Couple races on the broadcast network tonight. Myself, I'm out here with the Blazing Pedals ARCA Series. Nolan Rimple's out doing the For the Boys. The Car Tomorrow League is also here available on the channel as well. They are out at Legacy, Texas in this Car Tomorrow, so that'll be a fun race to sit back and watch after this happens. Here's Ty Marasco on the one car, one of our VR drivers. It's going to come down through the corner a little bit higher up the blue line than some drivers have been so far. Comes up out of the corner, starts to cut back through, and what's he going to finish with? A 29.571. That's your new pole sitter. Very last minute of the qualifying. Marasco goes out and sets the pole. Here's Mark Arthur back in that Barbie machine. We've seen Mark having a few different paint schemes lately. But here he is back in the white and pink. Easy to spot. He's just going to kill that run. And he is going to be happy with the run he has so far back in P10. I think that's it. I think that's the end of qualifying. Time is just about wrapped up. About 20 seconds left in the session timer. So we'll wait for that to wrap up here just to make sure. But I'm pretty sure no one else around. There's a few cars who have not qualified. Levine, Nice, Edstrom, Lagoons, Perkins, and Massengill, I do believe, have not qualified yet. So those drivers will be set based on other factors at the back of the grid. Well, here it is. It is time to take a look at tonight's Blazing Pedals ARCA Series starting grid. We looked at that pole sitter a moment ago. Ty Marasco with 29.571. Beats out Dalton Kilroy by less than a tenth of a second. That's first and second on the board. P3 is Cody Gibson, number 7, Chester Cheeto's machine. He's next to Matthew Kleinschmidt in the Grid Division 59. Next up on the board is Taylor Butcher Benjamin, TBB. He's P5 in that Rick and Morty Pickle Rick car. Next to the 85 of Brad Lawson. Back in P7 is Trevor Harmon, Team 5 in the black and magenta. He's next to Tanner Marr in the 4 in that white and blue. Going to go back into P9 in just a moment. That is going to be William Bruton and that multicolored black, yellow, and blue machine next to the party car of Mark Arthur. P11 is Rick Thompson, part of Speed Mafia. He's going to be next to Chris Carroll, the Canadian, back in P12. P13 goes to Nicholas Moody, and he is next to Jess Hadley in that very bright Hey Arnold car. P15, Brian Zimmerman in the 5 Kings with that old style paint scheme is next to the 43 at Larry Bell, back 15th and 16th. P17 is Austin Derbyshire from Grid Vision, last person to set the time on the grid. As we said, others in this order: Levine, Edstrom, Lagoons, Perkins, Neese, and Massengill. That'll round out a 21-car field, and that's a look top to bottom at tonight's starting grid. Well, as the cars get set on pit road, you get a big, wide shot of this track. A historic 1.5-mile facility. It's hosted many events throughout the years of NASCAR. It's hosted the Coca-Cola 600, some road course races, some all-star events, and maybe a little everything in between. So lots of history at this track, and someone in this league, I'm going to say they won, really in the backyard of NASCAR. So many NASCAR teams, you could basically throw a stone from the exit of this track and probably hit one. Would it be just so many teams, again, based out of this area. So for a lot of teams, this is their favorite time of the year, because you can stay at home, maybe sleep in your own bed, and be aware of your surroundings. The grid has rolled off. It's Kilroe and Marasco. Marasco first, Kilroe second. Will go on the green flag. Now this is a long race. Let's take a look at tonight's time and weather, and I'll point that out for a couple of reasons. So here we are, virtual sim time, July 27th at 7:05 p.m. Track temp currently 85 degrees Fahrenheit. Not horrible. It'll get cooler. It is pretty great, but it will get cooler. I point this out because if we're starting at 7:05, this track likely will be in pure darkness before we have wrapped up 240 laps. Well, I hope you got your popcorn, got your Cheez-Its, got your soda, your iced tea, your water, or whatever your beverage of preference is. There's a long night for the Blazing Pedals. Glad you're with us here. Want to thank Dustin and Ollis for pushing the buttons behind the booth, making me look and sound good on a Sunday evening. Derrick Watson on the call. Excited to get this race started. The pace car comes through turns 3 and 4, and Ty Marasco is eager and excited and waiting for that green flag to fall. What happens tonight? Will Marasco win from the pole? Will someone else win? We'll find out about 240 laps from now. But for now, let's let the green flag fall at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Coming on through turns 1 and 2. Already one car is down on the apron, but all seems good so far. Right now it's Marasco, it's Gibson, it's Kilroe, your top 3. Behind your leader, they are 2 wide, about 5 or 6 rows deep. Coming on through here now through turns 3 and 4 for the second time. All seems good. And Marasco wants that top lane. He takes it, he blocks Gibson, and he leads for the second time. That red line on your screen, that indicates the fastest lap so far. Right now, it belongs to Justin Levine, a 30.204. I guarantee you that will be broken before this night is over, if only because the track gets cooler. The times get faster at Charlotte. Up top here is Trevor Harmon, that black and magenta scheme. He's going to see if he can make his way around to the front. He's now around Kilroe. He's now around Brad Lawson. As Kilroe is now back to P6. Your leader, by the way, Cody Gibson, just set the fastest lap. So that time's going to decrease little by little. Already into the 29s here on lap number 4. Right now, remember, these first 2 stages are pretty short, 48 laps apiece. So these right now, you can sort of look at it like they're 2 sprint races. These are the small bits of time for these drivers to figure out their car in 48 lap runs and then be ready for what's ahead, that long 144 lap run to the finish. So right now, you can test the car out. You can be aggressive with the tires. You can maybe see how far the fuel will take you, get some good data to use in that last stint. So are you patient? Are you willing to ride, or do you want to be in the front? There's a bit of both going on right now if you look up and down the field. And Gibson wants to be up front. Harmon wants to be up front. But back through, there's Mark Arthur towards the back. He's back in P11. Nicholas Moody's back there in P12. Hadley and Marr are back there. Meanwhile, Dalton Kilrow, he's fallen back, not by choice, by the way. He's down to P5. That 3 spots down. And he's trying to hold off that 83 car. Trying to hold off the 83 car is Dalton Kilrow. Doing a good fire. Dalton Kilrow, known for fuel saving, known to be probably one of the best in the ARCA car at fuel saving. So already getting some reports. He may be clutching in through these corners. He's already thinking about the fuel saving. He's already working on that. Meanwhile, on the bottom is the 5. That's Justin Levine, I believe, in the 5 car. And he is gone on through. So while maybe Kilrow is fuel saving and falling back, his competitors are moving forward. Beautiful shot of this racing facility around the track as that camera follows the cars around from a distance. See some different battles happening. Still some bumper to bumper racing here at this track. Already working lap number 9. Here's the battle for the lead. By the way, this is Trevor Harmon. He doesn't want to lay back. He doesn't want to be patient. He wants to lead, and he's now side by side down the front or down the back straight with Cody Gibson. Harmon falls back a little bit, gives Gibson the lead. But now Gibson has to know that Harmon can make the move. Harmon looks up top, wants to ride around. Gibson blocks the move. And at least for the end of lap 9, it is so Gibson first, Harmon second. On back to the field, all looks pretty calm. You got to go back to Taylor Butcher Benjamin and that Pickle Rick car before you find your first side-by-side battle. That's Butcher Benjamin, that's Kleinschmidt, that's Mark Arthur. This will be right around the P10, P11, P12 spots on the track. Don't look now, but Justin Levine just set the fastest lap, already down to a 29.807 in the daytime. Levine wants to lead. Let's see here, back up top. This is now the battle for the front again. This is Cody Gibson and Trevor Harmon. They've got a car in Brad Lawson right behind him. Brad, another one of those ARCA legends, loves to race his car, has been having fun with it lately. And he's got Justin Levine right behind him. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4 cars already about only a quarter of a second apart from first to fourth. And it's fun to see sometimes the strategy of racing and how it can work out, because you get a top lane, you got a bottom lane, and drivers are using both. Gibson seems to love the top lane. Harmon's now up there. Levine seems to be committed to the bottom. Lawson's kind of playing around and trying to use both. So who uses what lane? How successful is it? How comfortable are they? Are all questions that matter here at Charlotte. Oh, through that corner you saw Harmon lose a lot of speed. Lawson almost went up 3 wide. Levine got even up side by side. So whether Harmon got a little maybe tight in the corner, maybe missed his braking point, I don't know. but something happened, and Levine's now ready to be in P2. Levine all alone on the bottom. He's got a little bit of a 3-car tandem, a 3-car draft up top. Now Harmon ditches it. Now Harmon wants to be the lead. Harmon's to the inside of Gibson. Out of turn 3, out of turn 4. Again, Gibson's going to lead here. Now what I begin to wonder is if this is what it was last night. Last night the SRA NAS Classic cars ran the ARCA cars at Dover. And what we heard from our drivers was that dirty air behind was awful. It was hard to pass. Well, I wonder if some of that same dirty air is playing a role here at Charlotte. Now Brad Lawson wants to find out, because now he's up to P2. He's gotten around Trevor Harmon. He's trying to ride the top lane. Can he get around Cody Gibson? Time will tell. Still though, Levine, the only car working the bottom, he seems to be committed to that idea. Has those wheels locked to that blue line for P4. Meanwhile, it's Gibson, Lawson, and Harmon. They're kind of working middle to top. So you see right there, Lawson's really up top. I mean, he's the driver way up top here, trying to make it work, trying to find something to do, but almost scrubs the wall. Meanwhile, off-cycle pit stop. This is Rick Thompson. Not sure the cause for this, but the 76 car is down super early, only lap 17. There's no doubt I wouldn't think these cars can make to the full stint of the first stage, of lap 48. So why Thompson's down pit road, I don't know, but let's see if we can find out. Remember how I said Levine was committed to the bottom? He still is. But now he's trying to run down Brad Lawson. Now he's trying to get P2, trying to make it work. And that Taco Bell machine is really moving his way to the front. Being told from our spotters, fuel only was the pit call for Rick Thompson. So maybe he thinks we're not good on fuel for the first stage. We'll wait and see how that plays out. But by pitting that early, that's going to put Thompson at least a lap down. Currently scored 1 lap down on the track. His biggest nightmare would be a caution before the end of the stage, because you get trapped a lap down and you may never get it back in this race. Here is Levine now. Man, he is making that bottom work, because now he's up with Cody Gibson. Now they're side by side to the line. I think it may have been Levine who led that lap. And no, Gibson led it by less than a tenth of a second. Only about 11 hundredths of a second is what Gibson led that by. But now Levine's around. Now Levine's in front of Gibson. Now Levine wants to be a race leader. And if he makes it through 3 and 4 correctly, he will be officially, for the first time tonight here, at the end of lap 20. Well, Levine's having a great run so far. Didn't qualify well. In fact, did not qualify at all. Started at P18, already up 18 spots. Now, if I'm the crew chief, if I'm the spotter for Levine, my concern right now are those tires. The way you get up front typically that fast is you're aggressive. You make some moves. You dig to the bottom of this track. You're playing with the throttle, whatever you have to do. The downside is you're going to eat up those tires, right? And so later in this run, I'm curious if Levine can't hold the car as well as the others can. Gibson has gotten back around, by the way. So Gibson has taken his lead back, and he wants to keep it. So it's Gibson, Levine, Lawson, and Harmon, your top 4. Boy, this battle does not stop. Every time you think it's going to get to a break, you can see this different ebb and flow. Someone else gets to the front, someone else taps the wall, someone else gets in the way, but it's still Cody Gibson's race. We look back a little bit, by the way. Dalton Kilrow, who started up in the front, is now down to P5. That's the gap between Kilrow and the leaders. Not that far, only about a second to a second and a half, depending upon a lap time and where you have in the intervals. So he still can see them. He can wait and see if something happens up there But again, we think he might already be trying to fuel save as he just scrubbed the wall. That will not help. That will not help his car. You see on the screen there, down 3 spots is Dalton Kilrow since the beginning of this race. And that is likely one of our biggest falls. Matthew Kleinsmith's down 8. And Tanner Marr is down 11. Are the other two. Meanwhile, big move up is Justin Levine, plus 16. That's definitely the biggest move of the night. Other ones would be Mike Massengill up 6. Joey Neese up 4. Trevor Harmon up 3. But this one for Levine is the biggest by far. He's gone from where he didn't qualify in P18. This went ahead, got lined up there. Now up to P2 and looking for P number 1. At least right now, we have our first lapped car. It's going to be Brian Zimmerman, who the leaders are catching up on pretty quick. You'll see him just to the front of a couple of shots. There's Larry Bell back with Tanner Marr. But here's Brian Zimmerman. And look at that right there. There's a good shot. You can see right there how close Gibson and the others are getting. So what does Zimmerman do? Does he try and stay out of the way? Does he make the leader pass him? We'll wait and find out in a tense moment. But right now, Levine's going to take advantage of this. Levine's going to be too wide. They're going to be now trying to pass a lapped car too wide. This may be a little sketchier than you want it to be. It's Levine trying to pass by. Wants to find an advantage, whatever word he can use. Can that car in the bottom, can that lapped car provide that small bit of draft? Let's wait and see. Right now, that car's up top. It'll provide a bit of a pull to Cody Gibson. Keeps it side by side through turns 3 and 4. Looking on back from Zimmerman. And for the moment, Zimmerman doing an okay job at holding his own. Even though he's being threatened to be lapped here, it's not massive gaps that the leaders are making up on him lap by lap. So he's not in the way. He's up there just kind of running his own race, hoping for the yellow. Does not want to get lapped out of P20 and is trying to hold on to this race car. Meanwhile, looking on back, you can see Cody Gibson still has that lead on Justin Levine. It's still a narrow margin. It's less than 1/10 of a second is what they're racing for or what they're racing against. And on back, you see the rest of the top 3, the top 5, and the top 10 back through the field. Here's Harmon. He's now got Brad Lawson up there. And he's got then Dalton Kilrow behind him. This is the second pack. This is the one trying to run down the leaders. Kilrow makes a move to the inside. Already more than halfway through our first stage. And the stage ends at the end of lap 48. And it's just about to complete the end of lap 30. So we're doing pretty well so far. As you see a good close-up view here of just how close these cars are racing. That's Harmon, that's Kilrow, and they are racing P3. Got a slow car. That's just Austin Derbyshire. And apparently he may have gotten loose on the racetrack. Not a full spin. Has the car under control. No caution on the track. See if we can get a replay of that in just a moment. Watching here, watch that green car. Oh, we got a little bit of help there. That was Tanner Marr in a 4. He's got in the back of Derbyshire. Derbyshire does a great job holding on to it. And we continue green flag racing. So now we got 2 battles on our screen. Up top, you'll see here, that's Larry Bell. That was the replay. Had live racing in the bottom. Now back to live racing full screen. It's going to be here still. This battle with Cody Gibson. And he is trying to get around his lap car. He's trying not to lose ground to Justin Levine. Trying to manage everything. Hoping that something bad doesn't happen. Because they may end up putting this lap car 3 wide here at Charlotte. Still side by side, still catching Zimmerman, getting a small bit to draft off that car. See how it pulls Gibson's a little bit ahead. That'll help him stay up ahead. of the 5 of Justin Levine. Levine's still not out of the points title, by the way. I know, hold on, Levine is pitting. Levine, you saw him slow that car down and came down pit road, so maybe we are not good on gas for the 48 lap stints, because Levine down pit road out of P2. Looks to be gas only is the call for Justin Levine. Only about 6 seconds on pit road. Cody Gibson this time by is going to come down. He'll observe the pit road speed limit, and he'll get down there appropriate. That pit road speed limit, by the way, 45 miles an hour. So you've been used to going to 180, 190 run this track. 45 will feel like you're crawling. Meanwhile, here's Mr. Fuel Save, Dalton Kilrow. He'll now take the lead. There's going to be another new leader on the evening. Kilrow takes the lead, and now the question is, what can he do with the fuel tanks? Working lap 35. Will Kilrow come in? Not this time by. So now with a little bit of shaking up field, it's Kilrow, it's Butcher Benjamin, it's Trevor Harmon, Ty Marasco, and Brad Lawson. Your top 5 with Mark Arthur involved in that picture as well. Look up top, though. Here's a couple cars coming around, trying to get involved in the battle. Boy, that Harmon car is flying around the top of the track. It looks like he's locked in and figured something out. Well, let's do this. We're only a few laps away from the end of the stage. We'll be here to cover all the pit stops and exciting moments, and happy to have you here with us. Brad Lawson still on pit road, or just now down pit road, pardon me. So he's going to be another person on down. See, it's a long stop for Lawson. That must be tires and gas. So Lawson, I think the first person I've noticed pit stop time-wise to maybe pull off that feet. And so we'll see what that does for him. He'll probably not need to stop for tires on the stage. Here we are, 3, almost 4 wide at Charlotte. That's Butcher Benjamin, that's Levine, that's Kilrow, and others locked in there. Ty Marasco's in there. A car up top gets bumped, and we're all through. Back to 2 wide. Now 3 again through the quad oval. And I think we're going to be okay. Levine's going to work through here, try and get on around Butcher Benjamin and Kilrow, and does. Now remember, this is not a pass for the lead. Levine is going to be, well, now at the end of the lead lap, was a lap down. So Levine's racing for something here as the stage ends. He wants to not be a lap down when that caution falls. So can he pull it off? Let's find out here. Down to the bottom of the corner, Levine side by side with the leader. Now going to have the move come on through. That time by, he barely ekes out at the line over Kilrow, but Kilrow has a teammate pushing. Does that help? More cars calling off their pits. Trevor Harmon will come in this time by. Meanwhile, Levine's finally just made that pass on Kilrow. Levine here is going to be clear of Kilrow. So now Levine to the very back end of the lead lap. Now he's going to run down Brian Zimmerman and see what happens. Trevor Harmon, see his pit stop time in the middle of right of your screen. See what he does. Anything more than probably 6 or 7 seconds will indicate he's going to take tires on this pit stop. So wait for that red number. There it is. There's more people down pit road. That, I believe, to be Dalton Kilrow. So he'll come down. He'll give up the lead to Ty Marasco. Ty Marasco becomes another leader of tonight's race in this first stint. So I feel like for the first time in a while in Blazing Pedals, the gas tanks are not as long as the stints. Everyone's going to have to come down at some point, and this will be wild to see who earns stage points here in just a few laps. Come around just a couple laps to go here, and Right now, Marasco is going around again. Comes up out of the corner. This is on the back straight, so we'll see if he pits this time by. And then it's himself and Tanner Butcher Benjamin. I believe the last couple of the last cars not to have pitted yet here on this track. And, well, here he comes. And both of them come down together. That's Marasco and Butcher Benjamin. They both come down here on the track. I believe per my notes, that might leave Tanner Marr, Mike Maskingill, Brian Zimmerman, Chris Carroll not to pit in this first stage. We'll see what that does for those drivers. I say that, and Brian Zimmerman makes the call. Brian Zimmerman this time by, as we're looking at the 4 of Tanner Marr. That white and blue machine is going to come on around, and we'll see what it does for him in scoring-wise. Left side of your screen, you see all the lap counts where P drivers have pitted, so those dashes mean they have not. So Tanner Marr takes the lead after not pitting so far. Himself and Massagill both in that same situation. Tanner Marr cannot make it. He's going to have to pit this time by. You see the RPMs are going to drop on the car down to the bottom left of the track. He'll roll it up. And down the pit road he comes. This time by, working on lap 44. Not that many more laps to go before the end of 48. Here's the 20 of Massengill. Can he make it on gas? That's now the new question. Can anyone make it on gas? And what can these drivers learn from this moment? Massengill, currently your leader, has crossed the line, has been officially scored as such. So many leaders throughout the night, maybe it's due to the pit cycle, but still many drivers, will get credit for leading a lap here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Massengill almost, I thought, was going to miss that pit stall. Got it wound up and everything, but the angle he took had me nervous for what could happen. That pit cycle has completed. That means Justin Levine has worked his way back to the front. It's Levine, Kilrow, Marasco. But look at the time difference here on the board. It is 1.7 seconds back to Kilrow. It is almost 3.5 seconds back to Marasco. So Levine figured something out here in this first stage. Tanner Marr is wanting not to be lapped here, so we'll see how much of a fight he puts up here. Now working lap 47, 2 to go in the stage. Does Levine even feel the need to lap Tanner Marr? Levine might just back off and say, hey, listen, it's not worth the battle. It's not worth the fight. It's not worth the risk. I'll just let it go. So we come around through turns 3 and 4 this time by. Joey Nice in the line penalty, likely due to a pit road violation. We'll take a look at that later. This time by, the white flag for stage 1 is out. Levine's up here, and he'll be sad about this, guys, because he has a massive lead of almost 1.5 seconds over Dalton Kilrow. And that'll put Ty Marasco up in 3rd, Rick Thompson in 4th, and TBB back in P5. But there's your segment leader. And I believe we're going to get Joey Nice. I believe I'm being told in my ears is going to be that penalty for entering a closed pit. So the pits do close near the end of the stage break. But speaking of the end of the stage break, it is now, and that winner is Justin Levine. There's your caution for the stage. No cause, no wreck for the caution. This will be our first yellow, and is not for a wreck. End of lap 48. Good run, everybody, so far. And Justin Levine is your stage winner. Being told Austin Derbyshire might have also gotten a penalty for the closed pit call. So there may be a couple drivers in that situation at the end of this stage. A couple replays here from the first stage, and take a look. This will be the closed pit. Look at those red lights. That shows you it's closed. And they went right on through. Probably out of gas, had no choice. It's been a great race so far. First stage is finished, so we'll walk through. Levine, Kilrow, Marasco, Thompson, TVB, your top 5. Lawson, Gibson, Edstrom, Mark Arthur, and Matthew Kleinschmidt are the 10 drivers scoring points in that first stage. Going to come down pit road, not a surprise. Now, this second stage, remember, a little shorter than the first because of these yellow caution flag laps. So some drivers may want to push to make this second stage on fuel. So they'll pit right now. And I wouldn't even be surprised if a couple more came around at 1 to go and try to top it off again. Levine down pit road. Many drivers will get tires for the first time here, I would suspect, because they did not take tires under those green flag pit stops. So wait and see if the cars flip up. They do not. Levine, I don't think that was still gas. Levine, that was still, or I mean, that Levine, that was gas only, pardon me. More drivers off pit road. See a couple getting damage fixed there. Austin Edstrom now ticking up the time pretty quickly, as is Trevor Harmon. So maybe getting some damage fixed. Matthew Kleinsmith, I'm being told, did not pit under this caution. He pitted back on lap 43. So for right now, he's going to absorb the lead. Well, let's do this. We have a moment. Let's go ahead and thank our sponsor who helps make this broadcast possible. That's the Ohio and Indiana Roofing Commercial Industrial Roofing Company. So I want to thank them for that. So I'll tell you a little bit about that. At the Ohio and Indiana Roofing Company, they are a premier roofing contractor, and they are a sister company to the Bruns Construction Enterprise. They specialize in commercial, industrial roofing, and are committed to accommodating the unique needs of each client and offering creative solutions to meet those needs. They are a team of individuals who work for the same goals: professionalism, quality, and service. Their services they offer includes preventative maintenance, re-roofing, new construction, infrared scanners, green roof solutions, metal retrofitting, emergency repair services, and more. Please go over and visit www.oiroofing.com for more information. Once again, it's www.oiroofing.com for more information. Well, a couple stories to follow here. Kleinsmith, again, did not pit, so he will inherit the lead here to begin stage 2. We'll know he is definitely not good on gas to make it to end. Lights in the pace car are out, by the way, so we're going green this time by. So it'll be Kleinschmidt, Lawson, Levine, Arthur, Kilroe, and Gibson involved in your top 6. I was taking a look here. I believe maybe Rick Thompson topped off. Chris Carroll, Nicholas Moody also topped off. So a couple drivers maybe even a little extra good. You see Larry Bell hanging back there. I don't see him on the list, but hanging back there implies he's trying to do some kind of fuel saving of some sort. We're 1 stage down, 2 to go. Going to go green here on lap 53. Remember, we're going to the end of lap 96 this time by. We'll see if anyone has the gas to make it this time. And we'll wait for the leader to go. Remember, here at Charlotte, it's the Toyota restart zone. That big red patch right there on screen right. That's when the leaders can go. And Barney the flagman will drop the green flag. Well, for now, Kleinsmith gets up to an early lead here. He's going to pull up in front of Justin Levine and Brad Lawson. So he can lead them on around here, coming through turns 3 and 4 for the first time in stage 2. Looking at here, 2, almost 3 wide back through the field. A little bit of wall scrub right there by a couple of the drivers, and Kleinsmith leads this lap. Happy you're along with us for the ride. Pretty solid, simple ride so far for the top 3, as Kleinschmidt, Levine, and Lawson are still separated by less than about 2, maybe 3/10 of a second. And they are on back. Look how messy it gets from 4th on back. Look at that side-by-side battle. That's going to be Mark Arthur and Cody Gibson. Then it's Ty Marasco and TBB back in 6th and 7th. Dalton Kilroe's back in P8. So lots of battling still happening back here. Lots of positions to be gained. Field's doing a pretty good job so far getting through that quad oval. Possibly the most difficult part of the track, just how narrow it looks, the kind of the visual acuity it provides is not big, and so it can be really tough to get through that part here. Here's Kleinschmidt, though. He's going to lead him around again. And down through turns 3 and 4. One driver way up top. That's Cody Gibson, just trying to make a different lane work. But out of 3 and 4, down through this dog leg again. So you see Kleinschmidt there with the Grid Vision logo in front of the car. He's one of those one sim performance drivers. Got his teammate and team owner of Justin Levine behind him. We spent a lot of time this year in the broadcast discussing Levine and his roots in iRacing, how popular he is, how well known he is, and those factors. Also, somewhere in the field is Austin Derbyshire back a lap down in P21. He's also part of this team. But boy, look at him 3 wide through the quad oval. For a moment they were. TBB, Mark Arthur, and more threaded the now look back. Now it's going to be right there. It's Cody Gibson, Trevor Harmon, and others. So these guys are pushing for every spot. The pedals are down. The tension is high. The cars are close. This is a good race. Ever wonder what it felt like to be in the middle of a hornet's nest? Let's find out. Let's see if we can get a ride on board with that one car. Let's just sit on board the one car for a couple laps. We're going to let you listen in, let you absorb the sights and sounds of Charlotte. We're going to lay back and crank it up. Well, I said that was in the middle of a hornet's nest, and it felt that way the whole ride, didn't it? Never a moment for Marasco to breathe. Maybe a little bit of a gap ahead, but right behind still got Rick Thompson and others all over the back bumper. And boy, look at back through there. A couple cars loose. Look at this. They're 2 wide, probably 6 deep right there. That's Levine on back. This is going to be Levine, Harmon, Kleinschmidt, Gibson, Tanner Marr, and more. This is P7 on back to the pack, and now they're 3. They were trying for 4 wide, and everything somehow worked itself out. Right now, everyone in this pack is trying to find a way out of this pack. They're trying to see if they can work their way around. Cody Gibson still working the top. That's been the theme all night. Trevor Harmon up top, Levine still on the bottom. So sometimes as a driver, you like a line, you like a groove, or you just like that habit you formed, right? It's like when you go to anywhere in life, your favorite restaurant, a classroom, your favorite church pew. Everyone sit in the same place, right? Well, that's a driver. That's what we do as well. If we find a line we love, it's hard to get us to come off that line. We're going to ride the top lane, the bottom lane, whatever lane we love is just going to continue to be the line we drive. Here's a battle for the lead. By the way, this is Tanner Butcher Benjamin and Dalton Kilrow. Not only is it a battle for the lead, this is a battle in a way for the points title because these are the two contenders, but Butcher Benjamin's fallen back quickly here. Now Rick Thompson's in between them. Now Ty Marasco's in between them, and TBB is quickly back down to P4. Let's go back and take a look a moment ago at Austin Derbyshire. He had a moment here through the infield I want to show you and see what happened. So kind of off by himself, having a hard time. Takes a little bit of that roll chicane, cuts some grass, picks up a side gig, and called it there. He stopped right there in that moment. So not sure if maybe a hardware failure for Derbyshire or what may have happened. We'll see if we can follow up on that. But all stays good. We do not have a caution. We're still green flag racing as we're working on lap 68. Look at this battle up front. This is Kilrow. He has now been passed by Rick Thompson. Thompson has had success in this league before, so not a surprise to Thompson, but he's right in that top lane, and Kilrow just drives right on through. So does Ty Marasco, and Thompson quickly falls back. Kilrow back to the front, wants to lead some more laps, and that he will. Working loud lap 70. Remember, we end the stage on lap 96. Look at this, though. Look at that battle. Remember, it's just maybe 5 laps ago, TBB was up involved in this battle. Now he's almost 2 seconds off the field. I'm not sure if that car got loose or if he decided to go into fuel safe mode or what may have happened. But meanwhile, that car on the back, that Hey Arnold car, just found the wall a second ago. That's Jess Headley right there. So those wall hits may not seem like a lot right now. What they will do, they could possibly mess with the aerodynamics of the car. They'll help with the tire wear and rubbing it a little harder on that tire, wearing it down faster. But it's all good for the moment. Here's that look on back from TBB. Now back to P6. Now P7. This is fuel saving for Butcher Benjamin. Watch the lack of throttle inputs from our estimations. Watch the speeds, the RPMs. Pretty easy to tell this is fuel saving. Again, to see the fuel saving happening for Butcher Benjamin. Just trying now to stretch it out. We were curious if some drivers thought they were good. Remember, the stage has a few less green flag laps because it's the same equal amount of stage, 48 to 96. However, those caution in the middle will help slow it down a little bit. But at least for TBB, he does not think that he has the gas. Meanwhile, Dalton Kilrow, someone who's known for fuel saving, is not doing so in the second stage. He's running around with Ty Marasco, and if you're leading like Kilrow, it's hard to make the argument that you are fuel saving. Look at the gap they have here. I mean, it's these front 3 drivers are a half second apart, and then it's almost 2 seconds back to P4. Great run here. Dalton Kilrow back around, by the way. He has gotten around and back to the front, as we said earlier. Ty Marasco is right behind him in that one car. And Ty, unfortunately, involved in a massive wreck at the end of last Monday night's High Tide Racing League race at Phoenix as VR died in the last lap, and a big, massive wreck occurred due to that factor. Nothing Ty caused on purpose, but there's a few cars involved in that. And they got Rick Thompson on back, the driver in that driver suit photo we talk about all the time. Meanwhile, look at this. Mark Arthur's back here. This is the battle on screen for P9 on back. That's Arthur and more around him. That I believe to be William Burton in that blue-based car up ahead. And Arthur is falling behind on the bottom lane. So we're now more than halfway through the second stage of this race, and lots going on. Again, Headley up the wall. That cannot happen too many times, guys. That is going to damage that car. It's going to cause a problem. And just like it finally did in the SRA last night, just like it finally did in the Brickyard 400 at Evan Pasoko and I called on Friday, you can only tap that wall so many times before eventually it just kind of fights back. It gets tired of getting hit. It gets tired of being slapped around, and it's going to bite you one of those times. So you got to be careful. Whew. A couple of drivers there. That would have been Brad Lawson. They're getting really close to cutting that infield there on the start-finish line. They got to keep their cars up there. No rule against it per se, per the league rules, but it will mess with the handling a little bit here. And you see TBB still falling back a little bit, still back in P7, but that speed difference is just overwhelming when you watch the cars on track. There's Trevor Harmon coming down pit road. This is earlier than I would think, by the way. This is lap 79. We've only been green for about 20-some laps, maybe 27. So Trevor Harmon just does not have the confidence that car will go all the way around to the stage. Wants to pit right now. Watch that time on the right side of your screen. It'll let you know what he does. Is it gas only? Is it gas and tires? Probably more than 6 seconds, I would suspect, is gas and tires. And yep, that appears to be the case. We're already up in maybe 2 tires. 8.3 seconds, maybe right sides only for Trevor Harmon. Have now used one of our spotters to confirm fuel only is the call for Trevor Harmon. So maybe above a longer stop on the fuel run, but fuel only in that 8.3 seconds. So no tires used there. Dalton Kilrow up front now has a battle from Nicholas Moody back in P2. Moody's now come up here. He's up 11 spots on the night. Went ahead and qualified back in P13 and is now moving, trying to make the move on the outside. Now wants the lead. Kilrow blocks the run, and now it's Moody and Marasco side by side of the line. Now look at this. Now Moody's got the move on the bottom. Now he wants to try to get the momentum around Kilrow and does. Yep, pulls it up here. Gets the infamous slide job up on through a little bit. Gets in front of Kilrow and leads the lap. Now if you're Dalton Kilrow, this may be a positive. If you're thinking that fuel may be a problem, now you could ride behind someone. Now you could possibly get comfortable and ride on through. Let's see what happens here. It looks like that may be the case. Kilrow does not seem eager to pass here. And a former race leader, Matthew Kleinschmidt, has announced he will be pitting this time by. So remember, Kleinschmidt did not pit under that yellow. He's definitely a few laps short compared to what the rest of the field would be here, pitting on lap 84. We have about 13 more laps to go before the end of the stage at line 96. So does that tell us about the leaders? I don't quite know, but it tells us Kleinschmidt couldn't make it. For the first time in a while, Dalton Kilrow seems content to ride. Just riding behind his car, possibly now trying to pull out that fuel save. He's now got Nicholas Moody ahead of him. He's got Marasco and Rick Thompson behind. Tanner Butcher Benjamin way back there, but now he's not content to ride. Now Kilrow makes the pass as Moody got wildly loose in the corner, and now it's Kilrow to the front and Moody back to P4. Back through the field, a couple different battles. This is the 97 battling back here. Just a couple different battles. And a funny moment, Nicholas Moody said, hey, Dalton, thanks for letting me lead a couple laps. Just maybe he was convinced Dalton was going to try and pass him back sooner. So Moody is happy he got a chance to be up front. I'm sure he'll be up there again if all stays the same as it is. But look at this battle on back. This is Mark Arthur in that white and pink car. And he's got Jess Hadley behind, Brad Lawson up ahead, William Bruton's in this group. So this is a mix, I believe, of cars that are a lead lap and lap down. So while it looks massively long, not all these cars are on equal laps. Some of these cars are battling for different concerns. That group is led by Tanner Butcher Benjamin. That's the black car with the green trim. And then on through. So, yep, some of these cars definitely a lap down. There's Brad Lawson out there on the outside of Mark Arthur. So a couple of different battles happening in this pack. Now we believe Dalton Kilrow is probably looking to save some gas. This is what we thought would happen all along. Rick Thompson's up top, and they've got Ty Marasco up ahead of them. So I thought this was what Kilrow was going to do in front of Moody. Killing that ignition, turning the car off, and trying to save everything he can is Dalton Kilrow. On board there with Dalton Kilrow and watching that fuel save happen. Still only a few laps to go to the end of stage 2. After this, we're going to go full 144 laps in stage 3, and 5 to go in the stage is what we're being reminded by the notes on the top of the screen. Meanwhile, on back, William Bruton is slow. And I think he may have had a little bit of contact with the wall. We'll wait and find out there. Let's wait and see in a moment. Well, I said he had contact with something. I was wrong about what it was. It was Mike Massengill. They got locked together through the infield, and wild save for both. Let's watch a different angle of that same contact and see what may have happened. Watch from up top. Maybe the 83s got loose out of the corner, got into Massengill, and somehow they both saved it. No caution. A couple more calls coming down pit road here. Nick Moody, the driver who led a few laps, decided he wants to come down pit road. That's going to give Rick Thompson a chance to go on around here. By the way, he's going to lead Ty Marasco and see if he can lead this lap. There's the timer for Moody on the screen. And I suspect more drivers may be coming down soon because this stage is about to end. Pit road will close soon. You don't want to be the likes of some of the drivers from the first stint who get caught without the permission to pit here. So I suspect if they're going to pit, they're going to this time buy a full pit stop for Nicholas Moody. By the way, 14.4. That is tires and gas for Nicholas Moody here at the end of lap 94. Pit lane is closed. 2 to go in the stage. And right now, it's Marasco leading all around. Can all 3 of these drivers make it on gas? They seem to think so. Kilro's fallen back a little bit. They got Larry and Bell up ahead. That will not be a factor before the stage ends. Coming around to see the white flag for stage 2. Who makes it? Who doesn't? Who finishes where? Let's find out here on lap 96. White flag for stage 2. Kilrow a little higher in the corner. Maybe he has enough left to get around here. He seems to think so. He's stepping on the gas a little bit. He's going to push Ty Marasco, maybe figuratively or literally, around this track. That's going to put Rick Thompson back to P3. Through turns 3 and 4, do they all make it? I think they do. Can Kilrow get there? He cannot. It'll be Marasco, Kilrow, Thompson, your top 3. End of stage 2. So let's walk through your top 10. Marasco, Kilrow, Thompson, TBB, and Brad Lawson, your top 5. Arthur, Carroll, Levine, Edstrom, and Cody Gibson, your top 10. Well, Tanner Butcher Benjamin gets the end-of-line penalty here, likely for having to get emergency fuel because he did not have enough gas to get on around. So that will be an end-of-line penalty for TBB, and unfortunate for him, but yep, stopped in the box, and he'll get his pit stop done a lap early. Well, this time by, pit stops will happen. After that, we're going to welcome in a guest to the broadcast booth and have a conversation with one of the drivers from the other series here on Green Flag TV. But we'll wait for the pace car to bring him on around. See that big Sunoco sign that shows you where pit road is? And there they all come down. Marasco, Kilrow, Thompson, and more down pit road. Couple of black flags here. Maybe we'll see if they stick. They were not. They were for a technical reason that's been cleared, so no need to worry about those. Watch the pit stops and see the time on the right side of your screen. Remember, everyone here now we can tell is getting tires and gas. Who wins the battle? Levine, a 14.9. Does not win the battle off of pit road. A 14.7 for Carroll, 14.5 for Lawson, a 15.2 for Austin Edstrom. So we'll watch the battle off of pit road. Let's go and welcome in Matt Gagnon. Matt is a driver in the Premier Sim Racing Sim Gaming Expo Truck Series on Wednesday nights. Well, Matt, here we are, a very, very long Charlotte race in the ARCA cars. Now we go 144 laps. So forgetting what may have happened in the first stages, what would be your strategy as a driver to set up for this final stage?
Well, of course, you got a long run ahead of you, assuming it stays green for 140 some odd laps. Not entirely sure what the fuel window is looking like, but save, save, save. That's my mentality, regardless of what it is. You got a big track like Charlotte, you want to save, save, save.
Yeah, the fuel window's been the question all night. We've seen some drivers really push it and try to make it work 40-some laps. Some drivers been a little skimmish or a little squeamish about making it work. There's one driver now down pit road. He's going to come down here, I believe, and top that car off. A couple more. Levine's going to come down. A couple more of them are Edstrom's going to come down again. So, well, Matt, the ARCA cars, of course, kind of the, I'd say they at least were, if not still, the kind of the favorite of the iRacing community ever since the remodels we got a couple seasons ago. Much different than what you drive in the trucks on Wednesdays, but as far as driving this track, we've seen drivers use both the top groove and the bottom groove of this track. What do you think would be your approach?
Well, I'm in that savers mentality here, Derek. I like ripping that bottom line as long as possible. Of course, it might be a little loose on exit, but at least you're saving that right front as best as possible, unlike you ripping the top side over by the wall.
No, you know, got to do what you got to do.
Exactly.
Well, we'll see how we're going to line up here. It's Marasco, it's Kilroe, it's Thompson, Carroll, Lawson, and Gibson, your top 6. Marr, Levine, Edstrom, and TBB, your top 10. Let's take a look at our timing and scoring here. You got to see one driver maybe who topped off on 1 to go. I saw one driver, Mark Arthur, I think, who did that. So, final stage, running to the end, 240 laps, so roughly about 144 laps if you count the end of the stage. A little less than that right now. Glad you're with us on Green Flag TV. Derrick Watson, special guest for the moment. Matt Gagnon up in the booth. Pace cars down. Here we go. Wait for that Toyota restart zone. And here it is. Marasco hits it, and Green Flag is out. Well, Matt, right now, no surprise. Lots of drivers everywhere. Tanner Marr's up to the top. Ryan Zimmerman's up top. Cody Gibson's up top. Everyone just seems to be in a hurry right now at the beginning of the stage.
And Derrick, used to be my favorite thing, opening lap or every single restart. Get right up on the top side, build a lot of momentum, take it on the front straightaway, the back straightaway, get around as many cars as possible. Only downside is the question of how much are you going to slide your tires to get this position, and how is that going to affect your long run?
Well, maybe the other question, too. You just said something about save, save, save. You can't really move to the front and save, can you?
It is possible, but it is definitely not very fun to do.
Look at that, by the way. Sorry.
Whoa.
3-1. My goodness. I think they got it worked out. Sorry, I mean, you were saying it is possible to go front and save, but it's one of the harder things to do, right?
It is definitely hard because you think about saving, you think about driving slower. You don't necessarily need to drive slow to save your resources. You just need to be smooth, taking an optimal line, letting the car just kind of float right down to the bottom, and then letting the throttle just pushing that throttle so gently. But it's definitely an art form here, as we see a little bit of a battle for the lead here. The 1 and the 28. Look at him go on the front straightaway. Ooh,
whoa.
Tags the wall. Whoa!
Oh, wrecking. Hold on. Caution's out. We're going to keep focused to make sure what happens at the front for just the moment here. Marasco, Tanner Marr, I believe he scored as the leader when the caution comes out. Brian Zimmerman just at the fastest lap as that caution came out. But in the middle of the field, our first caution for cause, our first caution for a wreck came out in the field. And in a moment, we'll get the replay machine spooled up and we'll find out what did happen here. But not really a surprise, right, Matt? When you have all these drivers fighting for that little bit of real estate and you see 2 wide, 3 wide, sometimes this is bound to happen, right?
It's going to sound like a broken record here, Derrick, but, you know, cautions breed cautions.
Yep, whether for cause, whether for stages, whether for other factors.
Some people
that
just
definitely
not
can
having
happen.
the patience. Sorry, Derrick. Just some people
No,
not
that's
having the
fine.
patience to hold back early on in these runs here.
We're riding on around here. See a couple drivers down pit road already. Levine, Edstrom, Butcher Benjamin, Nicholas Moody's going to come down. Some of these drivers may be for damage. Some of it may be just to top off that fuel. Maybe just to have a little more of that save that you talked about a moment ago.
Definitely a bit of a strategy call. Pack in as much of that fuel as possible. Minimize time on pit road. If there's one thing I did learn, a little fun fact, one big difference between a lot of these pro drivers and just your average typical iRacer is time spent on pit road, getting on and getting off as quick as possible. That's where a lot of time is made up here. So minimizing that by packing in as much fuel as you can, definitely going to save you a lot of time in the long run here.
So what's happened here? This looks weird, but what's happened here, Matt, is these guys, I think, were caught up in the adrenaline of battling for the win. They realized the caution came out. I don't think they realized they were the leaders, and so they kind of were driving around, and they kind of forgot that guy called the pace car. So now they're stopped here, basically kind of crawling around, waiting for the pace car driver to come on around. Speaking of which, I got a funny thought for you. Maybe it's funny. Friday night. Well, let's get the replays first of the wreck, and I'll come back to a funny thought about the pace car. And watch what's going to happen in the middle of the pack. Thought that Dr. Pepper car's up top in the wall. 3 wide. This has got to be where it is, I suspect. Right about here. Oh. And Matt, 3 wide at Charlotte, I mean, especially through that quad oval, that dog leg, whatever you call it, that's one of the more difficult things in oval racing, right?
Definitely on the exit of 4 there, Derek. The wall does come up a little bit sooner as possible, and it is very inviting to throttle up and kick it right off that corner.
And I don't know if it's because of the hash marks in the track or if it's because of the markings in the wall. There's something I feel like about the visual acuity that kind of really tricks you, right? Like it just makes it feel like it's so much more narrow than it is. Watch this again here. Watch a different replay. Here's the car up top. I mean, he's up against the wall. Not much more he can do. And watch below him in this blue car. This is Bruton just comes up, hits him.
One of those unfortunate moments in racing where you can't really do better than you already were.
Yep. So I was going to say, though, what happens sometimes is that, there's something about that visual acuity in that moment, right? It kind of messes with you. It makes you think that that area is way more narrow than it is sometimes. Well,
visuals play up.
Yeah, sorry.
No, just visuals play a big part in racing, especially on corner exits. Take Bristol, for example. It's a very difficult track to see around. You'll come out on exit, and all of a sudden there's a car turn around, and you have nowhere to go.
Surprise. Yep, absolutely. Well, the pace car lights are out. So everyone finally caught the pace car. He caught up. He's good. He's going to let the field go here. It's Ty Marasco, Tanner Marr, Cody Gibson, Brad Lawson, and others as we are about to go green again here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Boy, look at that jump right there. That was a massive jump from the one car. Not sure if he just caught maybe Tanner Marr sleeping on the outside, but that's a huge jump.
Playing games in the restart zone definitely get a lot of track position early on, but here comes the pack right behind in the 7. Is going to make a bit of a lunge.
That 4 is that blue and white car there, Matt, and I think he's got something. Maybe he missed a gear, maybe, or something happened because he is sinking like a rock through the field here.
Maybe got caught off guard a little bit, but if he's had the pace all day, he should be able to make his way back up.
Seems to be okay now. Seems to be back at the pace. Let's watch the restart here to see if we can notice. That's okay there. Just keep with it. Seems to be, I don't know. Well, I'll tell you what happened. Matt. I don't know if you can hear as well, but I heard in the driver chat, and I can't repeat the exact phrase he used. He said, "My bleeping car stalled."
Oh. I've never heard of that one before, Derek.
yeah, I'm sure you've never stalled a car in front of a field before, right?
I'm too talented to do that.
You are too talented to do that for sure. Well, up front, the talent being shown is by Cody Gibson. And we're watching a couple of battles here. There's the driver up front. Now, Matt, tonight would be a bit of a redemption story for Cody Gibson. Ran it last night in the SRA NASA Classic Series. Walked away from the field at Dover. However, he jumped the last restart of the night. He won the race, but now upon post-race review, when they found the jump, went from finishing first to finishing 8th due to that jump and a restart violation. So this would be a redemption story if Cody Gibson could pull this off.
Definitely a heartbreaker, minimize mistakes, especially when it matters most in those later runs, especially on final restarts. It's a real heartbreaker there.
So the field starting to go around again, kind of getting settled back in. Still some 2 wide action around the field here. And there's Kleinschmidt on the bottom right there of a couple cars. Trying to make that pass. There's William Bruton, who we saw involved in the last caution. There's Trevor Harmon back in the field. And this is a good shot right here. This is probably first through, 11th or 12th on that shot. That is basically only 2.4 seconds from that front view of Cody Gibson to most of the field here. So although it may look spread out, Matt, numbers-wise, everyone still has a shot here with about 100 and some laps to go. So, Matt, funny story. Myself and Evan Pasoko called the Brickyard 400 Friday night for the R18 Esports Network. And we found a new camera, which was looking at the pace car driver. And we'd never seen it before. We began talking about how we have Barney the Flagman, and the pace car driver needed a name. Well, the Twitch chat and the YouTube chat lit up and saying that we have to follow the Barney theme for naming all the rest of the iRacing quote-unquote employees in Sim. So we think we've come up with either a BJ or Riff for the pace car driver.
BJ or Riff. That's an interesting selection right there. I've never been a...
You never watched Barney and Friends? No?
I used to watch Barney, you know, maybe when I was like a kid, but I don't remember the last... I can't exactly tell you what Barney was about, but I would be interested to go through every single track and, you know, make little name tags for all these trackside employees.
Well, we might run out of name tags. There's a lot of them in the Sim. Of course, Steve Myers and Dale Earnhardt Jr. are hidden everywhere in the tracks, or at least one spot in every track in iRacing, I should say. So you can find them in every track if you've not done that before in iRacing. It could be a fun adventure, a little bit of a geo-finder sort of style quiz. And you look right there, almost contact there between Kleinschmidt and Moody. Now, Moody led some laps right before the end of the stage and is trying to get back up front here. So, Matt, this seems like pretty single-file uniform racing. Not really a surprise given the long length of the run and the need to fuel save, right?
Fuel save, and one thing I like to mention that I got to play around with last night is negating dirty air. It is horrible, but once you get it down, you can kind of become a lethal weapon here. I like to take a look. I've been watching the 7 and the 28 the past couple laps. The 7 kind of arcs it down. He wants to play a little bit with the dirty air, play a little aero game, but 28's just able to keep it down a little bit lower, get that clean air on the left front, and hopefully not chew up the right front as badly as he wants to, but dirty air is definitely a big factor when you're racing at these larger tracks.
That dirty air is probably why the 20 is also digging up top in the lanes. Is that kind of what you're hinting at?
A little bit. I'm glad you could pick up what I'm putting down here. Words sometimes don't flow off the tongue.
I try to listen a little bit every now and then and see what I can learn from drivers such as yourself. Yeah, you know. Larry Bell's back in the field. He's one of the drivers using that bottom lane for the moment in that red and blue car, and the Canadian's trying to work his way around. He'll make the pass there on Ty Marasco. Marasco way back in the field for the moment, and coming on through. Marasco at one point, or multiple points this night, has led some laps, or at least been up there in that conversation. This battle has been going on forever, though, Matt. Look at this. This is Nicholas Moody. This is Matthew Kleinschmidt. When you get locked into a battle like this side by side, and it feels like you just can't shake someone, what does that do to you as a driver? How does that affect you? What does it do to your headspace?
Definitely hurts the ego a little bit, I'll be honest with you. You get a little bit of a run, you're able to get on the inside, but when you get stuck side by side, one of you's wearing the tires out a little more, and overall it's going to hurt your speed. Someone's going to have to give, and it might not be pretty. It might not be pretty.
Hey, I want to follow up on something. I need to do a little bit more digging, but I just realized Tanner Marr has left the session. Tanner Marr was up in the front when this last restart began, or when this caution began. So Tanner Marr has left the party, so to speak, and is no longer part of this race. So not sure if that was... I didn't notice any damage to the car or any kind of wrecks involving him, so I'm not sure if maybe something happened. Let's see if we can follow up there, but I'm going to put that note out there for those who may be curious where the 4 car is. But finally, that 1 car pulling away a little bit. He's got a big battle. Chris Carroll is back there. Brian Zimmerman, Brad Lawson, Matthew Kleinschmidt, and that red car is finally up there. Oh, boy. 2 or 3 cars hit the wall right there. Whew.
Dipping the nose in the grass there. Who was that?
Oh, a couple of them. I think I saw Lawson down there. I saw Kleinschmidt down there. So this may sound silly to ask, but I'm kind of curious, actually. If you had to pick one, if you had to scrub the wall off of 4, and let's watch both here. This is Kleinschmidt and Zimmerman up in the wall, and a couple drivers down in the grass. If you had to do one, if you had to scrub the wall off of 4 or ride the grass or ride that paint through the infield, which is the one you'd rather do of the 2 bad options?
Well, they're both not very pleasant options. One, you either get right side damage, or 2, you risk the you run the risk of losing it in the grass. But I'm personally going in the grass, Derrick. I'm a lawnmower. I like to play a little dirty there.
Well, moving on around. Of course, that option, likely, at least in iRacing, we don't have the simulated effects of digging the spoilers in or digging the different car parts into the grass. So likely does less damage to the car in the virtual world.
Of course.
Well, here we are working lap 124. Glad you're with us on Sunday night. Derrick Watson sitting side by side with Matt Gagnon for a little bit. Matt, one of the stars, one of the drivers of the Premier Sim Racing Sim Gaming Expo Truck Series, part of Regenboog Motorsports.
Don't feel my ego too much. No.
So, Matt, you've had almost halfway through this race, by the way. But I was going to say, Matt, in fact, now the laps are beginning to count down. So I'll come back to a separate question in a second. But as a driver for you, is there some kind of cool little mental switch, or is there a happiness factor or something that happens when you start counting down instead of up on the lap count?
Say that again? I'm sorry. I was completely lost.
That's okay. So as a driver, like when we start counting down the laps right now, as we see on the top left of the screen, we're now counting down instead of up. As a driver, is that relieving? Does that feel good? Does it put the pressure on you? What does it do as a driver?
Well, for some of these longer races, like these 240 laps here at Charlotte, sometimes seeing the laps finally go down is a relief. You see the end finally getting a little bit closer. It also depends on where you are at the track. Some races you just dread because you're all the way in the back, or some of them you just want to finish because you're all the way up front. For me, the mental switch is more of like, all right, this is the time where, if you make a mistake, you're not going to fix this. You will not fix this mistake. You don't have the time to fix this. So for these drivers out here, you want to make sure that you're hitting your marks. Everything you're doing is to the best of your ability, and hopefully you'll see the best finish you can get.
Well, I think all those are valid points. I agree with most of those. I think there's different switches for different drivers. Heard a little bit of commotion on driver radio, a little bit of beating and banging, but all seems to be good. So watch this here on the replay, Matt. This is going to be the 5 of Levine on the bottom, Zimmerman up top. And it's going to be that beat and bang between Zimmerman and the car ahead. Then Levine gets involved in a little bit. Ooh, buddy, that got a little close for comfort.
Looks like the 5 was just not expecting a little bit of the checkup from the 28 after getting into the rear bumper. Just one of those moves you're not expecting on a back straightaway.
Yeah, probably not expecting a couple cars to come back to you that fast out of back straight. Now, sometimes I like to use the term time is relative when we talk about laps counting down, right? So I think if you're Chris Carroll, who's up in lead, maybe even Cody Gibson in second, time feels like forever because you want this race to end. You're happy with your spot. But if you're someone back in, say, Brian Zimmerman, Dalton Kilrow back in P8, time is probably clicking a little faster because the pressure's on now to make those passes. So how do you deal with that as a driver to keep yourself calm when you're trying to run someone down like this?
There's one thing that I've learned, and it's kind of like one car on the wall in the back straightaway. Before I answer that, didn't get to see exactly who that was, but
it was Kleinschmidt, the red car, I think, yeah.
What was I saying?
Good now. A little bit of apology over the radio, I think. Send a little bit of apologies saying, hey, I didn't mean to hit you that hard or get up in the wall, but we're good. Let's watch the replay real quick. There's Zimmerman up. You got maybe the tip end of Kilrow as well, and then Bruton got involved. And so it wasn't Kleinschmidt per se, but it was definitely all around Kleinschmidt. He was not in a good place there.
A little bit of backstretch drama there, but back to the question you were asking before. When you're in the back, pressure's on. More so, it's an internal pressure. You want to be the best that you can be. For me, I've learned this little technique where if I do make a mistake, I have like a little reset. For me, it's I wiggle my fingers on the back of my wheel. It sounds weird, but it's just more like a zero. You zero yourself in. You want to stay as calm and as level-headed as possible. If you start getting aggressive, that's when you start making mistakes. You start speeding up, that's when you start making mistakes and minimizing it. I'm going to say it over and over and over again. Minimizing mistakes when you're back of the top 10 is key to moving forward.
Minimize mistakes is what some of these drivers are trying to do right here. This is Justin Levine. At one point, our points leader in the season, took a couple weeks off and has been kind of overwhelmed by Dalton Kilroy in the points, but he is stuck right now behind Austin Edstrom, a fellow Green Flag TV commentator on Monday nights with Nolan Rimple. And Edstrom is right now just letting Levine follow. Now, I'm not sure, to be honest with you, as you saw Brad Lawson fall back there, I'm not sure if Levine is stuck behind Edstrom or if he's happily stuck behind Edstrom. You talked about those words, save, save, save. The more I watch these guys go around, I know they're teammates on one sim, I'm thinking maybe Levine is happy to sit behind here and save a little fuel.
Taking up as much as you can, even if you are giving up a little bit of time on the cars in front, being conservative, especially when you have almost 100 laps to go here. Minimizing that time you need to spend refreshing is key.
By the way, I have followed up here. Tanner Marr, remember we saw how he stalled his car on the restart. Apparently got some back-end damage from that stall, maybe from the back end of Trevor Harmon. And Tanner said it really hurt the car, so he could not get it back above 165 miles an hour on the track. So he went ahead and parked it and called it night, did not want to be in the way of his fellow competitor. So Tanner Marr out for the night with damage after that stall on the restart. Here comes the pass. This is Justin Levine. He's thought a pass, but now he gets back behind Austin Edstrom. Oh, there's a wall hit. There's Trevor Harmon. Arena right involved with or right in front of Dalton Kilroy. And man, for the Kilroy being the points leader, it feels like the past couple wrecks have been near, around, or involving Dalton Kilroy.
Here comes a pass from the 5 on the inside of turn 1. Definitely like passing on the inside on the back of on the front stretch going into 1. You get on the inside going into that little quad oval. Definitely easy to get on the inside and make these easy passes down in the 1.
And he's starting to pull away pretty quickly, isn't he? Look at that gap he's already put on Edstrom, Kilroy, Harmon, even Lawson on back to the field there. So it's like maybe he was ready to pass. Maybe he thought, oh my gosh, he'd done all he could as Dalton Kilroy scrubbed the wall. So I know, Matt, if you have family or friends watching the broadcast and you're a driver, when you scrub the wall, the easy comments don't do that. You know, you shouldn't do that. It's those kind of sarcastic comments we get, right? But as a driver, it's almost just impossible not to scrub the wall sometimes.
Some people are wall magnets like myself, but it's hard, especially when it's very inviting to throttle up a little too early. You feel like you can get a couple extra hundredths, maybe even a tenth out of pushing that car on exit, but that's how you get a whole right side full of wall. It's not pretty, scrubs your time, gives you damage, but patience. You got to have a little patience.
Yeah, because that wall scrub may not do a lot right now, but it'll feel the effects later. Maybe it's a little bit of body damage. There's Kleinschmidt slow, by the way. He might be coming down pit road, and that was a slow car to the inside. And yep, down pit road. So here we are, 101 to go. Now, Matt, obviously no world where this is your only pit stop. It's probably the first of 2. Kleinschmidt's been coming early all night. What is the advantages and disadvantages of being the first down pit road under green?
To be honest, I don't really know. I don't really focus on strategy. I just drive the car and then let my other teammates tell me what to do. Sorry for not being very insightful here, but I do as I'm told.
I'm sure your boss, Richard Regan, is super proud right now when he hears that comment that you just do as you're told. Should have put a comment or put a big grin on his face.
I hope he's watching. Hi, Rich.
But of course, for Kleinschmidt, the fear right now is that, if that little annoying yellow flag comes out before this cycle finishes, you run the risk of being stuck, right? Of being stuck a lap or 2 down. Here's Cody Gibson now down pit road. So that's the downside, right? But if you're taking tires, at least for a few laps before everyone's cycle is done, those new tires can make you feel like you're just in a new car, basically.
Sorry, I just caught my eye here. The 83 just had a little bit of a squirrely entry on a pit lane, but manages to save it. No damage, but definitely not pretty coming down pit road.
Here's Levine going on around. He'll go through, but here's another car down pit road. So the first cycle is starting here right around 100 laps to go. And now we're seeing Chris Carroll. He's had a couple wins this season come down pit road and had a lot of success in the Freedom 100 event we did a few weeks ago for 4th of July weekend. Kilroe, known as Mr. Fuel Save, not a surprise. He's still out on the track. And he's now tucked up and behind Trevor Harmon. More calls of pitting coming across the driver's radio time and time again. So this appears to be right now about that limit. So we'll see how long this goes for some drivers. They last pitted, I don't know, lap 106, I believe. So we're looking about 40-some laps. So you could come around again about lap, 57? It means maybe we're not done with just one more stop. We'll wait and see what comes out of these races here.
Of course, Derrick, as the race winds down, we may see some drivers make some more aggressive moves than they would early on. Maybe we'll see another caution come out. Fingers crossed. Hopefully not, but definitely want to factor in the unpredictable.
So 240 laps, that means we're doing 360 miles at Charlotte. I did that math all by myself, thank you. And no shoes taken off or no nothing. We'll point that out. But when you're doing a long race like this, obviously it's much longer than what you guys do on Wednesdays with the 75-minute races. How do you stay locked in for all 360? And watch, by the way, here's Brian Zimmerman coming down. But how do you stay locked in for this long? How do you kind of keep your focus? How do you keep comfortable? You know, are you a talker when you're racing? Do you have music in the background? What is Matt Gagnon's style of racing in these long races?
The Matt Gagnon method is to minimize distractions, so absolutely no music. You often comment on my dark room with very minimal lighting. It's like I want to shut out everything that's not necessary. My second monitor goes off, no music, no sound. Depending on the track, I go silent on any form of communication, and I just focus on myself. Mainly the road courses. I do love the road courses. No communication, no talking, just straight driving. For some of these other tracks, short tracks especially, I can be pretty vocal. As you know, short tracks can be very aggravating. Here comes Levine down pit road, but minimizing distractions for me and shutting everything unnecessary off, that's the Matt Gagnon method.
Now, of course, you have the benefit of, you're one of the drivers who has the benefit of having a real life experience, right? You've also raced a little bit in real life in some real life cars, and so you probably have, especially in the short tracks, maybe a leg up on some of the competition, something that you and your team boss, Richard Regan, share together. So does that short track experience in real life, does it translate at all to what we do in iRacing?
Well, my short track experience is extremely minimal. I got one whole race done, and the car kind of, didn't want to run after race number 2, but I don't really think it's affected my iRacing as much, but it's definitely broadened my horizons a little bit. I like to think more of racing in a technical form now, instead of just, drive car through corner fast, but it's definitely got my mind running a little bit harder.
I can see that. Look at that on top of your screen, by the way. 29.508 is the new fastest lap of the night. Nicholas Moody to set that. 5.38, pardon me, is what Nicholas Moody just set. And look at that. Track temp is down from the start of the night. We thought that might be the case as we've raced into the nighttime. Track temp currently 83 degrees Fahrenheit. So a little bit cooler, but as the night goes on, Matt, and those temps drop, I don't think that's probably going to be our fastest lap of the night. I bet it gets even faster as the night goes on.
Especially if they're going to have to make one more stop at some point this race, and if we're going to see, I think I can estimate probably another 2, maybe 3 degrees dropping down the track. Definitely can squeeze out another 10th or 2 on that lap time.
Well, on track, by the way, Dalton Kilroe is your leader. I show him as one of the last few drivers himself, and his teammate Taylor Butcher Benjamin pretty far back in the Pickle Rick car. The 2 last cars I can see not to have pitted this time by. Now, every lap they're going around this time, I don't know if they're going to cut a pit stop off the end, Matt, but they're making it possible to maybe think about the less pit stop, or the less time on their final pit stop, right? So look at the top of your left of your screen. See, when everyone pitted last, I mean, look at that's 45, 44 laps for those two drivers. So, again, they're not going to probably cut that final pit stop out of the race, but it's less time on pit road, which can translate into better time, right?
Definitely. And if you're waiting this long, you're hoping on a potential caution or someone to make a mistake coming off a pit road or clashing with people on older tires. It's definitely not a favorable strategy call to wait this long, but it can have its benefits given the circumstances.
Well, the benefits are over because Kilroe's going to pit this time by. Comes down here, gets the car woed up, gets it down. Does he know? Boy, that was close, wasn't it?
That looked really close. Did he make it?
No black flag for Dalton Kilroe so far, so I believe he did make it. But the fact you and I are both surprised tells us that's how close it probably was.
Definitely a close call, but that's how much he wants to squeeze as much time as possible coming in the pit road and minimizing the time on pit stops here.
So think about it this way. We're estimates on our screen. He just went 48 laps. Now, a couple of those you have to wipe off because there was that really early caution right after we went green after the end of stage 2. But he went 48 laps. So let's assume he can do 46 under green with the saving. You do that, take the 40 off, that's 47, take the 6 off, that's 41. He could be good after his next pit stop. That's not what every driver here could say, but Dalton Kilroe's, I thought he couldn't cut the pit stop off, Matt. He might surprise me. He might only need one more pit stop to finish this race.
Could be possible. Might be a little of a stretch, but you did just throw a lot of numbers at me, so I think I have to agree with you.
Yeah, as drivers and broadcasters, numbers are not our thing. We just have to sometimes trust the computer, right? We just do what the computer tells us, and numbers are not our specialty all the time. Cody Gibson riding around here, by the way. This is your current lead. Look at that graph on the bottom, Matt. That is all the pit cycles so far for their drivers. So Cody Gibson has pitted 4 times. 2 of those at the end of your stage breaks. You see there a couple of drivers. Dalton Kilroe has a bunch of pit stops, as does TBB, Taylor Butcher Benjamin. So a few different pit cycle strategy calls in play here. See a couple more playing off here. There's Cody Gibson, Justin Levine, Ty Marasco. So this is looking forward a little bit. Zoomed in on those calls, kind of see how long they went here. So I'm excited to see what may happen here. Chris Carroll up in the lead. Cody Gibson on back in the Cheetos car. And look at that on back. That's Justin Levine, the New York native, trying to come back and have success. Now, Matt, unlike what you guys do in Premier Sim Racing with just the 10-week seasons, this is basically a full NASCAR season, right? A full long list of a season. So you can miss a couple races and still be competitive here. But if you do miss a couple races, then the pressure is on to win even more to make up for the time you missed, right?
Exactly. I have and do race in a few leagues that have these longer schedules, and I like the flexibility you have with it. You know, you do get a couple provisionals where you can miss a race and it's not the end of your season, but even then, showing up to as many races as possible is the biggest thing going for you in terms of any championship battle you have going on here. But making every race count is huge.
Now, this league has a bit of a unique rule. There are no drop weeks. They have provisionals. But the deal with the provisional is there's only, I believe, a limited number you can use, and you get a certain set number of points. But you have to announce your provisional in advance. You cannot miss the week and then say, hey, sorry, one to go, whatever, bowling. So can I get my provisional? You have to kind of plan it out. So that has bitten a couple of drivers here, but kind of a cool system, a different way to handle it versus drop weeks.
That's interesting. That's a very interesting system. I kind of like that idea. It's makes this make every race a bigger deal and make it a more important thing.
Yep, puts a little bit of accountability on the drivers to plan ahead and know their schedules. Look at this back here in the field, by the way. Larry Bell is leading this group around, and he's doing a pretty good job. That's Nicholas Mooney. Here's another car. That's Ty Marasco down pit road. Ty, one of the drivers who's not had success in the second part of this race, was up battling for the lead in the beginning, and now is kind of off on his own strategy and down pit road here. This is off cycle and kind of confusing to me a little bit. We'll see what he does with it. I mean, this would mean he could definitely be good in one more stop, but he's so far down the leaderboard, I just don't know what he can do with it.
A little bit of an alternative strategy here, Derrick. Going for maybe a little bit of a Hail Mary here, but not entirely sure myself either.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. He's a little off strategy. And hey, sometimes off strategy becomes on strategy. You never really know what will happen there. And here, a couple more. There's Brad Lawson down pit road. So Brad, we see race a couple times a week. He'll be here tomorrow night for the High Tide Racing League when they go racing. Boy, but right there, this is the 5 of Levine and Carroll. They were racing hard. They were almost door to door. I suspect they both have a little bit of each other's paint on the side of those doors.
Very close. Trying to squeeze it. Get a little side draft going down the front straightaway. Ooh. Barely fit a little gap in there.
Oh, buddy, they're still beating and banging, still door slamming. Levine leaning on him. There's, Carroll's loose, and somehow that's not a wreck.
What an incredible save by the 97 there. Holds it straight without taking either himself or Levine out. Wow.
Ooh, buddy, well, that's probably the closest thing we've had of any kind of door banging all night. Watching him, this is from Carroll's point of view. Whoa!
Crazy save.
Yeah, anytime the wheel seesaws that hard, it's not that good.
Now I wonder what the inside of the 97 car is sounding like. Must not be very happy with the 5 there, but will he maintain his composure as he's holding on for this final 75 lap stretch here? Great little battle here, Derrick.
It is a great little battle. This is probably the best battle we've had in a while. The 7 of Gibson, the 97 of Carroll, the 5 of Levine. Heck, throw in there back there the 10 of Butcher Benjamin, this little 4-car pack. They are fighting hard. And that sometimes is the key to endurance racing, right? We maybe talked about this more when you do your road events. You know, your Spa 24s, your NURBs, your Daytona 24, where you get excited about this battle, right? Because this may be the first battle you've seen in 10, 15 minutes, and you get amped up. It doesn't matter what spot it's for. Now, for these guys, luckily it's for the lead. But you get excited for these battles because it doesn't feel like you get them that often on these longer races.
I'm just in awe by this. This is amazing. Side by side for the past few laps. They are leaning on each other. This is incredible.
This is incredible indeed. They're still leaning. My goodness, the 97 and the 5. I'm wondering now if both have maybe gotten a little over it, right? That's the best way to say it. They're both a little over each other, leaning like that. And so they're both just kind of saying, hey, I'm going to do it more, and maybe that'll make you stop. But the problem is sometimes when you escalate it, it keeps escalating, and it doesn't de-escalate. Watch it again. Oh, my gosh.
What a deep lunge down in the 1. Tries to get over to the quarter panel. Makes it stick just a little bit. Watch him go down in the 3 here.
Side by side they go. The 97 and the 5. Carroll and Levine. Levine in that Taco Bell car. Pretty iconic look for him. And he is trying at the line. That's a drag race. That maybe would have been Levine had that been the last lap. It's not going to, still 71 to go. They're not racing like it, by the way. They're racing like there's like 1 to go.
A little bit of door banging on the entry of 1. They make it through, but Levine takes it back from Carroll. I'm waiting to see Carroll maybe try to get to the back bumper of the 5, take a little air off the nose, lean him on the right rear a little bit. See what he can do to get that spot back.
And I bet Cody Gibson is loving this, by the way. If we had a face cam for Cody Gibson, I bet he's got to be grinning. I mean, there's not much space here between himself and Levine, But each time those guys get closer and closer to contact, you got to think it's just a little bit space. You think Gibson could gain. That's not the case right now. And Levine now is maybe going to lean on Gibson. Now Gibson moves up. Gibson says, I want no part of that. You can move on around, and I'll fight it out later. I don't know how they caught that. They're not clear. Never mind. My God, how did Levine save that?
Almost takes him out. 97 gives him a bumper. Holds on to it. 3 wide behind. What a sequence.
Enter in another car in the chat. This, I believe, is a lap car of Brad Lawson, by the way. He's just going to move on around on new tires and says, hey, I'll leave this. You guys can do that on your own. I have no idea how Justin Levine saved that car. I started to say out loud, I don't know how they made that clear. Turns out they weren't.
Truly incredible driving right there. Beautiful.
Boy, oh boy, that was wild. Watch it one more time. Gibson to the back of Levine, right about there. A little bit of contact. Levine wiggles at 2. He wiggled it like a goldfish, and then 97 got the bump in. And then I think then Gibson backed up a little bit, said, hey, okay, let me gather my thoughts for a second before I, do something I'm going to regret here.
One thing I do like about these new ARCA cars, they definitely have a decent amount of grip to them. Makes those saves very impressive. They make them very impressive, but easy to manage there.
Well, and the thing about this ARCA car, I think you can now say is different, Matt. Remember, the ARCA cars are old. Had we seen a bump like that to the back of someone's bumper with how pointed they were, that would have been someone spinning around for sure, right? That would have been someone looped around. Those cars did not line up on the bumpers. So obviously that's a little different in the new ARCA cars.
The old wedge cars, that was not... In the old wedge cars, that was not going to be pretty. But, wow. That's all I can say.
Yeah, that's about all you could say for that moment. Wow, because I don't know how that was going to work out. I tell you what, if we rack that up, 99 more times, I bet that's the only time those guys save that and make that work. And they're not done. Look how close they still are. I mean, from first to fourth, it's Levine, Carroll, Gibson, and Kleinschmidt. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's another car in the way there that's not part of this battle. But for these 3 cars alone, for Levine, Carroll, Gibson, I mean, they're only half a second apart. They're not done battling yet.
It's only just heating up. As you see, 64 more times around. Can barely speak today, but just look at how close these two are. The 5 and the 97 just right on each other. 2/10 between the two. Not even, but I think the 97 is just waiting for...
Hold on, wrecking in the back. Sorry to cut you off. William Burton is wrecked in turn 3 with Nicholas Moody, I believe. That's a caution. Oh, boy. Well, you have to say, in some ways, you're almost not surprised because it felt like the pressure had been kind of boiling over for a while, but you're surprised because these weren't the drivers that it was boiling with. This is a battle we hadn't really seen. Watch this here on your screen here. Watch up top. That's Burton in the blue. He just came down and tried to clear himself. Not clear is the call. I said turn 3. I believe it's actually turn 1. And then on around to go. So here's a caution. This will kind of level the playing field, and I bet we're not done with the beating and banging, Matt.
Yeah, still not exactly sure why that happened, but I said it before, you got to plan for these cautions here. It's definitely a big strategy implication here. And wow, just kind of tried to clear himself, just not clear. Door was not open.
Oh, wow, that in a way is good for us. Maybe it's a moment to breathe, a moment to just kind of relax and gather our thoughts, because that process, that cycle had gotten a little rough. It's Levine, Carroll, Gibson, Kleinschmidt, your top 4. Mark Arthur is back in P5, and here they all come. No surprise down pit road. Matt, you have to think as we're now 60 some laps to go. It'll be tires and gas. This will kill the tire strategy, by the way, or the fuel strategy talk, by the way. Everyone must pit again, but here they come down pit road this time.
Like I said before, I'm not exactly a big strategy guy myself. I just kind of do what I'm told, but I can only imagine the implications this has on that fuel strategy. Maybe be able to stretch tires as much as possible, but 60 laps is still a long ways to go here. Probably going back green around 59-ish. So, little stretch to go, just not quite clear.
Well, say right now that Dalton Kilrow won that race off of pit road, but did not take tires. I believe per the rest of the pit stop times we're seeing here across the board, Matt, I believe everyone else probably did for Kilrow. So I'm waiting to see some times here across the board. Of course, some drivers in the back going to get some damage repairs, such as Trevor Harmon. Now, in this league, you do have a limit on the set of tires you have available to you, so you have to kind of ration them out appropriately. It's 5 sets total. So you have to kind of keep that in mind here across this long race. Are you surprised with this in a race that's not gone yellow that many times for cause, and it's only our second caution of the night for cause? Are you surprised at the no tire call? Because I have to admit to you that I would rather put tires on now as a driver than think about it on my last pit stop if it is under green. Is that sort of where your head would be?
Every single time I come down pit road, I'm looking at getting fresh tires and trying to keep myself aligned with the guys around me. If I'm Kilrow right now, I am scared beyond belief for these guys. Hungry pack of tigers sitting right around me on fresh tires that are going to most likely blow right past me, and I'm anxious to see this restart here, Derrick.
Yeah, I am too. I think it's going to be fun to see what happens, who gives who space, who doesn't give who space, who has new tires. All those question marks, right, will all probably come together in just a moment here as we're now working the backstreet here. Lights in the pace car out. Let's go through it. Kilrow, Levine, Gibson, Carroll, and Arthur, your top 5. Thompson, Klein, Schmidt, Zimmerman, Edstrom, and Bell, your top 10. We'll tell you right now that there's only there's 14 cars in the lead lap. That's more than half the field. So 3 cars, 1 lap down. That's Massengill, Moody, and Joey Neat. All right, well, here you go. You said we're excited for it. I'm excited too. Glad you're with us here live on Green Flag TV. Derrick Watson with Dustin Ollis pushing the buttons behind the booth. Matt Gagnon up here sitting side by side as a guest tonight. And here we go, Matt. Green flag is out. Let's see what happens.
Decent jump right there for Kilrow. Gets it right out the gate. Holds him off, but
oh, look at Kilrow's trying to make a move on the bottom.
Whoa.
That's a power move, and a move I'm surprised is being made with those old tires. But here he comes around. He'll lead the lap. He'll lead around Levine. Now it's Carroll again trying to get back up to Levine, but not getting it. This time it's Kilrow and Levine. Will they lean on each other? I don't know. Nope. Kilrow leaves a lot of space.
Carroll trying to get around him. He is a rock, but not as much of a rock as you'd expect, but still not someone you want to be stuck behind for too long. As you're going to see this pack of car. Kilrow is just going to get stuck on the bottom here.
Stuck on the bottom, appears to be falling back 2, 3, 4 spaces. And the new fast lap, remember, talked about this all night long, said it would get faster as it has. Brian Zimmerman down to 29.4. There's a wreck out of 2. That's Rick Thompson. Kleinschmidt I saw involved. Maybe a couple others. This is, wow. Well, we went from a pretty clean race, Matt, to a pretty wild race in the last stage. And I think there's a part of a car back there in the grass I thought I saw. Let's find that later. Let's watch what happened in the wreck first. Here's Kleinschmidt 3 wide in the middle. He tags Thompson. Down they go in front of Larry Bell. In front of Taylor Butcher Benjamin, the driver second in points. And there's your caution.
Like a case of just leaning on someone a little bit too hard, trying to squeeze out as many spots as possible, but a little too aggressive right there.
Well, while we're under caution, you keep making this comment. Let's watch this first. This is Taylor Butcher Benjamin's point of view. He thought he was getting it checked up, and no, not so much. Just nowhere to go for Butcher Benjamin. Just kind of got caught in the back end. Well, you keep making this comment tonight that you're just a driver. You do what you're told. You do what your boss tells you. Well, I thought, you know what? Let's bring your boss in. We're going to add a third person in the broadcast booth. Let's welcome in Richard Regan. Richard, you've been watching the race for a while. What's your thoughts on this race so far?
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting race. They had a good green flag run going on there, and this caution came out. So definitely going to change some things as Dalton Kilroy is coming down pit road here. See what he can do with some fresh tires, most likely. And Levine looks very strong. Him and the 7 were going at it pretty hard on that green flag run. So it'll be interesting to see what they do the rest of the race.
So I was saying the last caution was only a few laps ago. I was surprised. As you see the stats there, Richard Regan, Matt Gagnon, and still Derrick here in the broadcast booth. I was saying a second ago, I'm surprised Kilroy didn't do it last time, because in theory, if we'd have went all the way to the end, he would have had to have stopped under green. Were you on board with that thought? Did you think it was crazy he didn't take tires last time, or do you think there's something that we missed from that strategy call?
I mean, I don't know. They probably have do they have a tire limit? I don't think they do. Oh, they
5
do?
set.
Okay. 5 sets. So, I mean, yeah, it depends. I mean, realistically, he probably would have rather have taken tires there, as I think he might have some damage because he's still sitting in pit lane. But
He is, you're right.
If I could go back, I definitely would have taken the tires, try to keep good track position and keep good clean air, because you're pretty much a sitting duck once those tires have that much of a heat cycle on them. And as you've seen, he went right to the back, and he got into some trouble, and he's going to have to work his way through that, back through the field with 54 to go.
A little surprised. Dalton Kilroy was up front, nowhere near that wreck, but you're right. As far as I can tell, he is still sitting on pit road. I don't see a penalty under his name. I don't see any kind of black flag for speeding or for anything. So, I mean, there he goes. He missed it. Yeah, I thought he was going to. He got caught by a closed pit, guys. He's going to go from leading this race to being a lap down.
Yeah, that's a tough break for him. We'll see what he can do. He's definitely a super fast driver, so if he can just keep his car clean and he gets lucky with the quick caution and is in the lucky dog spot.
I think I heard a note on the driver radio that, I don't know if you heard this as well. I thought I heard someone say he had to go take I'm going to call it a bio break, I guess is the right way to say that. So he thought he couldn't hold it for another 60-some laps. So Dalton Kilroy goes a lap down, due to have to go use a little driver's room.
You got to go when you got to go, Derrick. It's either you or the seat.
I mean, fire suits, right?
Fire suits. Drivers do it all the time. I mean, it's a simulator, no?
It is a simulator. Well, Rich, right now, here we are. Levine to the inside, Gibson to the outside, Mark Arthur and Chris Carroll back in the second row. So if you are Levine right now, after the battle you had with Chris Carroll and all the beating and banging and rubbing and everything else you want to put into the words there, are you nervous he's starting behind you?
I'm a little nervous because he's going to be aggressive, but Gibson in the 7 here, he's going to try to get around Levine. Levine gets a really good restart right there. So Levine's in a good spot right here. The 97 is going to try to follow him into turn 1 and be clear, and then the battle's probably going to be on coming out of turn 4 next time by.
Here we are, green flag back in the air. Levine quickly gets away. Carroll's in second. Gibson's in third. Arthur's in fourth. Got Austin Edstrom back there. A little bit of blink. I think we're good. A couple cars down below the surface. And all is good. Come around to 3 and 4 this time by. Arthur in that bright Barbie machine is up here for the first time tonight, trying to lead some laps, trying to get involved. We saw Austin Edstrom barely scrub the wall. And all seems good for the first lap here. Oof. By the way, of note, Mike Maskey, I believe, has also dropped out of this race. One more car no longer on the track. And lots of battling here. Cody Gibson now. Oh, look at that. Diggs down below Justin Levine in 3 and 4. And are they going to lean on one another? I don't think so, but that's going to back Gibson up to Chris Carroll.
See a little 3-wide action down the front straightaway, heading down in the 1. Here comes a 12 down in the bottom.
Oh, that's
Leaning
Mark
on him.
Arthur down there. Chris Carroll. That's Austin Edstrom up top. New fastest lap set by the car up top. A 29-4, 3-1 for that red car for Austin Edstrom. Rich, is there very many places oval-wise you want to be 3 wide than the dog leg at Charlotte?
Probably not. I wouldn't recommend it, but somehow, obviously with contact, they were all able to keep it going. And Levine's loving this right now. He's just trying to set sail, but the 7 still has a heck of a draft as they're still battling back there.
That was not the replay from before, by the way. That was a separate look from a new incident right there. Again, Gibson barely got to the back of Levine. Levine wiggled. That's twice now, guys. If he pulls it off a third time, I hope he doesn't have to, but if he pulls it off a third time and he gets hit in the back end and wiggles that car and saves it, he should probably go play the lottery. Well, things have begun to calm down a little bit. Mark Arthur's falling back here to P6. That's the car in the middle of your screen. Up front, there's a look front to back. That's Levine and Taco Bell car. Cody Gibson, Chris Carroll on back. Now, Rich, for Cody Gibson, this drive, I was saying earlier, is a bit of a redemption drive. He went out last night in the SRA NAS Classic Series. He won the race. And when we ended the broadcast, Cody Gibson was scored the winner. However, upon race review, was determined. He jumped the last start. He did not go on green. The win voided. The points taken. Went from first to last on the lead lap. I know it's a different league. I know it's a different track. But when you have that kind of moment happen to you, does it make you want to drive harder the next night to prove yourself? Or does it demoralize you? Or what can that do to a driver's headspace?
It really depends on how mentally strong they are. For some people, as we got to move for third place right here, for some people, they can use it as motivation to come back stronger. Others, sometimes it kind of spinballs, but, the 7's looking very strong, so it's looking like he's using that as some extra motivation tonight. And I think right now he's just trying to be a little patient and bide his time, following Levine around and just trying to hope Levine makes a mistake to get in front of him.
Now, Matt, you just saw on your screen right there, we saw Austin Edstrom. Every now and then has a little bit of an internet problem. You see the little bit of blink, blink, blink on the screen right there. When you're a driver, maybe behind him like Brian Zimmerman, does that unnerve you? Does that kind of spook you into not wanting to race him as hard? Are you inspired to get around him so he can't be a problem around you? What's the thought process?
The guy who does constantly blink, it is a very...
I wasn't going to mention it. I was going to let it go.
That is part of my team name, but racing around someone who has some internet issues is definitely a big risk, especially when you're in a tight pack like this where it's kind of uncertain when it's going to happen and how bad it's going to be. But for me, I think it comes down to analyzing exactly what their car does when they are blinking and then formulating a plan of attack to try and get around them as quickly as possible. But, of course, I think it's safe to call blinking cars a hazard. Being cautious while navigating around these hazards is definitely something you need to do quickly.
Up front, no hazards so far. Levine has walked away since this restart. He's got ahead of Cody Gibson, ahead of Chris Carroll, and the rest of the field here. They're single file. Now, Rich, in the back of everyone's mind has to be the fact that nobody is good on gas. So right now, everyone's, I guess you're just kind of racing and hoping. Are you hoping the caution flies? Are you just kind of already starting to plot out the math of when you need to pit for the final time? When you know you're not good on gas and you know no one else is good on gas, what do you do?
I would just try to ride out and, wait until it's time to make that pit stop and just try to settle into a run here. Obviously, we got the top 6 cars on the track right now are pretty much on the pack of their own. So all these guys right now should be pretty calm and content where they're at and just trying to get there to where their pit window opens and then seeing if they can make any time up on pit road.
By the way, following another story in the back of the field here real quick. Oh, there's a car in the back. That is Nicholas Moody. He led some laps earlier in this race, and I think he's parking that car, guys. That's not his pit stall. There's not enough cars in this race for that to be his pit stall. So I suspect he just called it a night for some reason. That's not the story I was going to follow. I was going to say our former race leader, remember we talked about Dalton Kilroe, had to stop for a moment and take that that momentary break, if you will. He is now 1 lap down in P13. If there's anyone rooting for a caution, I guess it's Dalton Kilroe.
Oh, for sure. He's definitely hoping he gets a caution and gets it somewhat quick. Obviously, while he's in the lucky dog spot, if we get to green flag pit stops, that's going to change a lot of the running order of the lucky dog. So untimely caution during green flag pit stops can keep him trapped a lap down. So he obviously wants the caution to come out quick. That way he can come down, get on the lead lap, get new tires, and have enough time to try to work his way back through the front of the field.
Guys, did you just see that? That was almost a bump draft from the Pit Lizard car of Chris Carroll. He was shoving the 7 of Cody Gibson through the quad oval, through the dog leg at Charlotte. Oh boy.
Yeah, one thing you need to be careful with, especially with these cars at Charlotte, it gets a little bit better as the tires get older and you have to slow down your corners more. But if you make it a pass on the inside of somebody and if it's a failed attempt, if everyone's stacked up behind you on the outside, you can easily get freight trained here. So definitely got to pick your passes as the 97 drives it deep into turn 1. The 7's going to get a run back center off the corner here, drive back to his door, and see what happens. I think the 12's going to push the 97 here and give him some momentum.
Carroll wiggled a little bit, but all is good here. Coming to turn 3, this time 39 laps to go. We can officially say from here the pit window is officially open. So no matter when you want to pit from here, I doubt anyone does right now, but you could and be good on gas. It's Levine, it's Carroll, it's Gibson in that order up front. Mark Arthur's up here. Austin Edstrom's up here. There's so many cars involved, but guys, I'm excited for this because the last time Carroll and Levine got together, it was a little bumpy to say the least.
Yeah, for sure. And Levine's just going to let the 97 go there. He knows the 97.
No,
he gives it a huge bump right there. I thought he was going to let him go and just try to ride behind him. But, yeah, these guys are going to be going at it the rest of the race for sure.
That was a massive time. Oh, well, they're side by side. Hold on, let's watch this for a second. I'll come back to my point in a second. Here they are again. Last time by, lots of leaning, lots of paint scrubbing. There it is again. Levine and Carroll side by side up in the wall. The rest of the pack is catching up here. This could get dangerous, Matt.
A very sketchy pack. You see these guys 2 by 2, 3 rows. This is incredible racing here. Everybody on each other for the past couple of laps. This is, again, a very incredible show we're watching here. This is very tight racing. Watch the 5. He's going to try and get up alongside the 97 going down the back straightaway. See
this top of your screen. That'll be the replay of that bump right there. Sorry, Rich. Go ahead.
Not Richard, but love you too, Derrick. Look at this. Coming off of 3. All these guys still side by side. See Kleinschmidt. He's got a meatball. Bit of an incident there. Check into that. But the 97 trying to work the top side, get around the 5, and maybe play a little aero games here.
Guys, I'm excited for post-race interviews because I suspect, to use a bit of a nerdy term for a second, there's got to be some lore here between the 5 and the 97 because that amount of beating and banging, it comes from one of 2 reasons. Either you have the 5 is slow, he's coming down pit road, he's going to pit right now. So either he is suspecting this will stay green and he's going to get an advantage by doing this, or Rich, he was just tired of being in that dogfight.
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. I think he's trying to use a tire advantage here, trying to pit 1 lap earlier, and also try to get out of that hornet's nest. I mean, that's a pretty crazy battle here. I think we're going to have more people come down pit road. We'll see how many. 7 slowing down right now. Yep. So we'll see what the strategy plays out. If you do like a 2-lap overcut, it seems to be pretty good. But, yeah, we'll see what happens as we got another battle for the lead.
Matt, I'm stunned. So many cars coming down pit road right now. We mentioned the pit window is open. I suspect there's going to be a couple cars who do just the opposite, who want to stay out as long as possible and hope for the best, right?
Oh, definitely. One thing that I've started to do as a person trying to formulate his own strategies, I like to look at cars further back in the field. Is here comes Carroll down pit road.
Really fast.
Oh, squirrely sideways. Did he make it?
Let's double
Looks
check.
like
I think
he
so.
did,
Yep.
but managed to hold on to it. But if you're trying to stretch it, save as much fuel as possible. Let off that gas early. Let the car roll through the corners a lot longer. Maybe even you see people hold in the clutch. Save as much fuel as possible and stretch this run as long as possible. Maybe you do see a caution come out. Maybe that's a saving grace for you. Take a look at Kilroe, for example.
Yeah, Kilroe will probably want to stretch this run as long as humanly possible since he needs to get that lap back. And right now, Austin Edstrom, Mark Arthur, Brian Zimmerman, and Taylor Butcher Benjamin, their top 4, the last 4 not to pit in this cycle. So, Rich, right now we're seeing a pass here between the 12 and between Edstrom here. And are you a little surprised if they're going to stick on this strategy of just staying out as long as possible, that they're not just sort of in line in fuel saving? Are you surprised to see racing happening when the goal is fuel saving?
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised to see them racing. If they're gonna make the strategy work, I feel like they need to work together. But one thing to note, Levine came out ahead of the 97. He's got a couple second gap to him right now, so that's gonna be interesting once the tires wear out. See if Chris Carroll can get the draft back on Levine as Edstrom's coming down pit road.
Yep, there's Zimmerman right behind him, so that leaves 2 more cars down pit road that are now taking this strategy of pitting right here. That leaves, I believe, just Mark Arthur and Taylor Butcher Benjamin. Mark Arthur, the 12, and the Barbie machine, the bright pink and white. And, well, Matt, I suppose if you're a spotter, you love the paint scheme because you're not gonna lose that car on track, right?
Not at all. I think, not knowing Mark Arthur, but I think having a paint scheme that suits you very well, having a bright pink, very bright pink car, you know, maybe it's a confidence boost thing. I don't know.
Rich, would you say that Matt's just a Barbie girl living in a Barbie world?
He definitely could be. But you know, if I'm Mark Arthur right now, I got to come down pit road ASAP. I mean, you're losing a lot of time not having any draft with you, and you also got older tires. So it's going to be interesting to see as he's staying out another lap to see what his strategy is going to be, how long he wants to stay out. Maybe he's hoping for a late race caution to flip the strategy. But he's probably, if it stays green, he's going to need to hope that the leaders start racing super hard and he can take advantage of his tires.
So Mark Arthur last pitted according to time and scoring, lap 180. That's about 32-ish laps to go. So based on our best estimates, he only has about maybe 8 laps, maybe 9 in that fuel tank would be the best I could think he would see here. So that would put him down to about 16 to go. You see the different fuel strategies and the pit strategies here on the screen, guys. So yeah, 179 according to that. So yeah, he's hoping for the caution. Maybe it's just so far it's not falling. Here's Justin Levine. This is why it's not working. Levine currently, of course, a lap down, but look at the speed here. And Rich, when you see a driver go by you on new tires as Levine is about to do to Mark Arthur, does that make you just kind of jealous? Does that make you want it more? What does it do to you?
I mean, it definitely makes you jealous because you can see a guy going way faster than you're able to just based off the tire wear. But I mean, at this point, I think the 12's made his bed, and I think he has to stay out until the tanks ran dry. I think if he comes down pit road now, and doesn't get a caution, obviously if he doesn't get a caution, he's not in a good spot to make the strategy work. But I think he needs to stay out until a caution potentially comes out, as he's coming down pit road right now.
There you go. Speaking of the devil, he's went ahead and decided to kind of abort the run right now, and that should be the last, I believe. No, Taylor Butcher Benjamin is the last one. He'll now inherit the lead. This is the guy who is second in points. He is teammates with Dalton Kilroe, who, of course, is still fighting that problem being a lap down. Kilroe will have to pit again here some point as well. But right now, Butcher Benjamin's having a good points night. If you can lead some laps and have a good run here. So not long now. He pitted on lap 186, guys. So a couple more laps before Butcher Benjamin comes down pit road here. Well, here we are, finally working our way through the final 23 laps of this race. 240 laps in total, Rich. A long, grueling race, and at this point, you're probably just going, boy, are we there yet?
Definitely ready to get it over with for some of these drivers, but I mean, there's still a good strategy race going on right here as we got 23 to go, and it's going to be interesting. Levine has a almost 2-second lead on Carroll right now. Once Benjamin comes down pit road, Levine will be your leader. So it'll be interesting to see as you're looking at Mark Arthur on the screen. He just came off of pit road. He's going to hope that he can use up his tires and catch back up to the pack, but I just don't know if he's going to be able to do it.
Yeah, time may be a problem. This is the battle on screen. This is 6th, 7th, and 8th. It's Arthur, Zimmerman, and then Dalton Kilrow right now is on the lead lap for the moment. Looking at timing and scoring, he has not pitted in this cycle yet, so he's still hoping for that caution right now would be the benefit of the lifetime for Kilrow as it would lock him in on the lead lap, but I think that's going to quickly come to an end. Well, want to thank you for hanging out here on Green Flag TV. We're not done with the racing action. We have racing, I believe, for the next 7 nights in a row. Monday night, tomorrow night, the High Tide Racing League. Nolan Ripple and Austin Edstrom will be here. Tuesday night, Nolan Ripple is here for OMSRL for their trip to a road course. Wednesday night's a doubleheader. I'll be here for the Premier Sim Racing Sim Gaming Expo Truck Series. These two guys, Richard Regan and Matt Gagnon, will be in the trucks racing. Side by side will be the Beer League. They're racing the Super Formula Lights this season at randomized tracks. Thursday night, the Average Joe's Sim Racing League goes to Watkins Glen, their first road course of the season. Friday night, the Bolt Racing League with Nolan Rempel. And then Saturday night, Nolan and I close out this season of the Sim Racing Association Nats Classic Series, their finale at Michigan. 7 nights a week on Green Flag TV. If you've not yet done so, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you'll know when we go live. But right now, guys, we're not done. We're still 19 laps to go. Here I am talking about looking ahead, and, well, Brian Zimmerman and Mark Arthur and the others are hoping to finish this out.
Yeah, for sure. Mark Arthur is hoping that Zimmerman can keep up with him a little bit. They were working together for a couple of laps there, trying to use the draft to gain more time down the straightaways. And, you know, Mark's going to pick up some spots here. But like I said, he's going to have to hope that Levine and Carroll get side by side. And, I mean, if that does happen, you know, the 12 still has a shot at this.
So, guys, any moment now, the lead should flip over. Butcher Benjamin last pitted on lap 186. It is now lap 222. So there's our current leader. Now, once Butcher Benjamin finally has to come down pit road and that tank runs dry, we'll move the cameras back and find our actual battle for lead at that moment. It'll be Justin Levine, Chris Carroll, Austin Edstrom, and others back in that battle here. But time is fading away, Matt. Quickly, those hopes of TBB are fading of there being a yellow flag.
Yeah, he's trying to stretch as long as possible. I'm listening along as he's driving by. I think he's clutching in the corners now, trying to save radically here, but it's not going to work out in the long run here.
No.
Levine just 12 seconds back in catching. He's got the speed, and there's another second down. Clock is ticking here for TBB.
I'll tell you what, if TBB saves enough gas here, he put on 186, we go to 240. If he saves that much fuel, that car, virtual or not, needs to be torn apart, inspected, looked at, or something. There's no way possible you save that much gas.
Absolutely not. It's just a big stretch. He's living on a prayer right now, you might say.
Well, he's more than halfway there, I'll tell you that. Well, Rich, right now, if you're Justin Levine, I guess the key word is patience, right? You know you're going to catch it. You know you're going to get the lead. You just have to be patient here and not make a mistake while waiting for the others to pit.
Yeah, I don't think Levine's worried about the 10 right now. Obviously, we all know that the 10 needs to come back down pit road to get fuel to make it to the end. So Levine's probably just focused on his mirror right now, making sure that he's doing what he needs to do to protect his tires and keep that 97 away from his draft, because as long as the 97 doesn't have a draft, it's going to be super hard for him to close back up on Levine. So as we see, Mark Arthur's on the screen. He got around the 7 of Cody Gibson. So Mark's trying to set his sights on Austin Edstrom now. He was a couple seconds up the road, and we got Zimmerman and Gibson side by side now.
Yeah, Zimmerman, of course, holds the fastest lap of the night at 29.424. Set that not too long ago. So Zimmerman now around
in
Cody
this
Gibson.
time.
There he is, finally down pit road. That's a long run. He'll come in on 227 from 186. So he tried everything he could, guys. But now the good news for TVB, this will be likely a very quick stop. This is just be a splash and go. Yeah, I suspect would keep him on the lead lap most likely, but of course gives up the lead.
Definitely a big fallback for him, but he's going to have those fresh tires in comparison to everyone else in the field. What is it, about another 20-ish laps better tires than everyone around him. He'll have the speed, but I don't think he has the time.
Yeah, probably not even taking tires, I would guess, right, Rit?
Maybe 2 tires, if anything. Yeah, definitely 2
Took
tires.
right side tires, are being told, so keep in mind there. By the way, welcome to our new viewers who are watching the For the Boys Racing League. They were out at Legacy, Texas. Catch this, guys. One of our newest broadcasts on the channel, the For the Boys Racing League. They're racing the car of tomorrow in that league. There's finally Dalton Kilroy coming down. He waited as long as he could, but just never happened, guys. That plan of hoping for the caution never happened. There's Levine back around. That puts him back a lap down. And it once was a very close, tense battle for Levine and Carroll and others. The gap now, as Rich said, is pretty big here. It's now about 1.5 seconds. So, Rich, right now, Justin Levine's just kind of racing the track, I guess.
Yeah, but one thing I'm keeping my eye on is this battle for second place between the 97 and Austin Edstrom. If Austin decides to work with the 97 a little bit to try to push him, they still have a shot to catch Levine. I'm pretty sure they're teammates, so I don't see that happening. But we'll see what happens and see if the 97 wants to just try to get around. See if the 87 wants to just get around the 97.
Yep, you're right. Austin Edstrom and Justin Levine are teammates, so who knows what may happen there. By the way, that For the Boys Racing League tonight at Texas, Aaron Smith won by 9.4 seconds. So a very different race than what we're seeing tonight, Matt.
Definitely very different here. Track like Texas is a bit more, not to say that driving these tracks takes more skill than another, but Texas is definitely more of a technical track than a cookie cutter like Charlotte here.
Pop quiz. Rich, when's the last time Matt won a race by 9 seconds?
Never.
That's what I thought. That's exactly the right answer there. 8 almost laps to go at this track. 230 some laps down. Justin Levine is winning. Chris Carroll right there. Austin Edstrom are trying to get around. I like this move that you called out, Richard. It does feel like despite it being a teammate problem, Austin Edstrom is kind of committed to the bit here. He is almost pushing. He's not bump drafting, but definitely using a little bit of that draft we don't talk about a lot. And that gap has closed a little bit. It's down to 1 second here with 8 laps to go. Rich, do you think they have enough time to catch up here?
They might. I mean, it's going to be definitely tough. I don't know if we're going to get to any more lap traffic before the end of the race, but I think that's kind of really their only hope. But they're side by side now, so. But they were closing in super quick. I mean, they knocked down a half a second on the lead. But we'll see if the 97 can keep up with Edstrom here, and he might be able to push him back up to Levine.
Yeah, so Matt, right now the thought has to be that maybe Edstrom thinks he's faster, so maybe he thinks I'll get around and I'll go catch him, right?
I mean, he could surely try with 7 coming to 6 times more going around. You know, if you feel like you got the pace, you feel like you got something better than the guy in front of you, you might as well try to go around and give it all you got.
Here we go. It feels like that gap is closing, guys. By the way, it's down to half a second. I don't know if Levine is trying to save. Maybe he didn't put enough fuel in the car. But look at those green numbers. Green, green, green for Austin Edstrom. He is catching up with Justin Levine. There'll be 5 to go at the line here, Rich. And those are pretty sizable numbers. That's a tenth, and half a second the past 3 times.
Yeah, let's not forget, Austin has, I think, like 5 or 6 lap fresher tires than the 5 of Justin Levine. So definitely, if Austin gets there, he's going to have more opportunity to try to get around the 5 than the 5 will have to defend. But, I mean, we only got 5 to go. We're coming to 4 to go this time by. Levine's already getting defensive, so the mind games have started already.
I was wondering what that was for a second, Rich. The way he pulled it way to the left, I got scared for half a second that he needed to pit. But you're right, he's just trying to, I guess, serpentine the draft. There's a phrase I've never used at Charlotte before, but I guess tonight's the first. Let's see if it continues. Right here, that KFC car of Austin Edstrom riding on board, down through turns 1 and 2, running different lines. Now, we talked earlier in the broadcast, Rich, these different lines might be so that Austin can help kind of avoid that dirty air, right?
Yeah, definitely trying to avoid the dirty air. Levine goes defensive here, running the middle. Also trying to block Mem off the corner, but let's not forget, if these guys get side by side as we're coming to 3 to go this time by, and they do it early enough, that 97 still has a shot at this too.
Well, get ready, get your popcorn. There's a big dig inside from Austin Edstrom. He's quickly to the inside of Justin. I mean, these guys are teammates. I don't think you'll see what we saw with the 97 and the 5, but every time these guys race side by side, the 97 will get closer. The 5 held off the pass that time. Coming around, Popsicle Sticks, 2 to go at the flag stand. Barney the flagman will let them know 2 laps to go at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Yeah, and Levine's just full on defensive here. Levine's a really good driver. He knows what he needs to do to put himself in a good spot here. He's going to give him the bottom every time he can, because Levine knows that if he runs the middle to the top, he's going to get that run off the corner, and these cars side draft so hard here. So a little bit of contact right there. Almost
the third time.
More contact. This is definitely bringing the 97 back into this battle.
Guys, that's team-on-team contact right there. That is one sim on one sim. Oh, my gosh, they're waving. Here's the white flag waving. So with the cars through the corner there. Oh, my gosh. Here we go. One more time around. Charlotte Motor Speedway will be Edstrom. Will it be Levine? Does Carroll find a way through here? They are leaning on each other through 1 and 2. Down the back straight for the final time. It's Edstrom, it's Levine, it's Carroll. Edstrom with a slight nose, possibly. There's a little bit more door banging. Edstrom will dig it in through the bottom of 1 and 2, bottom of 3 and 4. Then Levine has the run. It's going to be a drag race, guys. Get ready. Here it is. It's Edstrom. It's Levine. It's the checkered flag. And the winner is Levine by less than a 10.
Yeah, definitely a crazy, crazy finish. That's probably as dirty as you can get with teammates, with keeping it somewhat respectful. And I think they'll be happy that they were able to get that 1-2 finish and not kill each other completely. But definitely made it interesting for us to call the race.
Matt, what a finish.
0.017 between these two drivers. What a race, what a finish. Can we just give props to Levine for holding on to it 1, 2, 3, 4 times now? Keeping that car straight, keeping it clean. Look at him go.
Well, Levine's going to come down, and he'll burn it down on the front. He'll take his moment to celebrate. I think they're all going to come down and celebrate here. I think they all feel like they deserve that moment. There, guys, on your screen, that is the moment. That's the gap. That is how much he won by. That's close. Well, here he is, Justin Levine, the New York native. The kid known well across iRacing, being part of Road to Pro, for running his team, for all the accomplishments he has. Gets to add one more to the list. He has won the Blazing Pedals Endurance Race, the ARCA Series, at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Let's take a look at tonight's unofficial results. See how they lined up here. Justin Levine, of course, your winner. Matt called it out, 0.019 according to the board. Chris Carroll is only a tenth of a second back. Then Mark Arthur and Cody Gibson round out your top 5. It's Brian Zimmerman, Ty Marasco, Larry Bell, Brad Lawson, and Trevor Harmon in your top 10, Rich. And it's Taylor Butcher Benjamin, Dalton Kilrow, William Bruton, Nick Thompson, and Joey Neese in your top 15. Matthew Kleinschmidt, Nicholas Moody, Mike Massigo, Tanner Marr, Jess Hadley, all cars that did not finish, pretty far laps down the field here. A couple more cars, and that's going to be Austin Derbyshire, Hunter Lagoons, and John Perkins. That's a look top to bottom at tonight's unofficial results. Well, guys, need a moment to calm down, maybe a bit of adrenaline fall off, or what do you have you here? But let's do this. Let's go ahead and get into our interviews. Let's start with the New York native, the kid from New York, the Taco Bell car. Less than a tenth of a second, had his teammate door banging. Somehow he wins. Justin Levine, how does that feel?
It feels amazing, especially to go door to door with Austin. I can't tell you how many times we have done this in the past, and to just year after year somehow end up battling each other for the win. I got the biggest smile.
Well, I know, Rich, you have a couple questions as well. What do you have for Justin Levine here?
Yeah, man. First off, great job. What was
Thank you.
your thought process there? Coming down pit road a couple laps earlier than the other guys, was it trying to get out of that dirty air in that side by side battle, obviously slowing you guys down, or were you just trying to flip strategy with newer tires to fire off?
So I started the run with let's try to keep the clean air and the lead as much as possible. And when Chris and Cody started working together and they got to my outside, I knew that I had one more set in the bag, so let me burn them up. Let's run them hard as I could. And the second that the car started plowing, I just dove in. And I almost botched it. I was already set for low fuel, but I never set the 2 tires. And coming to my box, I slammed on the brakes at like 1 stall early just to uncheck the left side tires, or this would have never happened.
Yeah, that's definitely last minute decision to take the 2 tires there. Now, were you at all concerned about the 97 getting involved in that battle as you and Edstrom were door banging side by side those last 3 laps?
Of course, I was yelling at him going down the back off. When we came out of 2 going down the back, I was like, watch your mirror. I don't know if he's going to be able to dive bomb us or at least get his nose there or something. But our momentum and us door banging each other, I guess either Chris didn't have it or maybe he was like, let them wreck and I'll be there for the win. But he didn't get there. So we were able to have a photo finish, just the 2 of us.
Awesome. Well, again, congratulations on the win. Awesome finish there. You got anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, shout out to you guys. Guys do such a great job. Love going back and watching the broadcast. Mark and Tom for putting this on. All the admins do such a great job, and of course, all the viewers.
All right, that is Justin Levine coming home at P1 here tonight. Well, you know what? We had a great time in the booth, and when we get to see these exciting finishes, we get stoked, and it's only appropriate that the man who gave us an exciting finish gets to call him every Monday night on Green Flag TV, Austin Edstrom. That's about as close as you can get to win without winning.
Yeah, it kind of sucks. It just took me a little too long to get there. It's just so hard to pass on the bottom. I tried doing everything I could. I tried, give him a little fender on the back straightaway to slow him up. Tried to get into him in the corner, just, try to keep us side by side, give myself an opportunity. But I just couldn't quite do enough. I wasn't going to just junk them. We were going to, keep it aggressive for sure, because that's a lot more fun. But, I wasn't going to wreck them for it, especially because, like you said, I call races here on Monday, so that would look kind of bad if one of your broadcasters was in here on Sunday nights just chunking the field. But it was a fun race.
I mean, Matt doesn't. We let him race on Wednesdays, so just keep that in mind. It's not always, always the worst thing ever. I have to know, though, what was the Discord room like? I mean, obviously, you guys are teammates, yourself and Justin. What's that final lap like? I know for us, it was tense. We were all kind of just right on the edge of our seats wondering what was going to happen. For you guys in that room, was it joyful? Was it tense? Was there a little bit of arguing back and forth? What was that Discord call like in that last lap?
Oh, we're giggling our asses off. We were literally just sitting there chuckling, having a good time. Every time that we would hit, we just started laughing, having a good old time. And then Chris came into it, so Justin's like, watch your mirror just in case. Don't let him go 3 wide. So I looked down there, kept that shielded, and I think we bounced a couple more times in 3 and 4, and we were just laughing all the way to the checkered flag. So it's all in good spirits.
Fair enough, buddy. Well, listen, I know you've got to be in the booth in about 24 hours from now, but before you go, anyone you want to give a shout out to, say hello to, any of that good stuff?
Oh yeah, just all the one sim guys. Justin, let's see, Matt typically runs really good. He kind of got screwed over a bit tonight. Austin, Darby, all those guys coming out and running with us on Sundays. It's made it a lot of fun. Happy to put on a good finish there too. I was like, oh, this is gonna look really good for the broadcast whenever we ended that one off. So happy to give it a good finish.
All right, buddy. Well, listen, great job tonight. We'll see you tomorrow.
Sounds good, bud. Have a good one.
All right, that is Austin Edstrom. It looks like our 3rd place finisher not available for comment, so we'll wrap up here with a second. But Matt, I mean, that's teammates beating and bumping. They say they're giggling. They say they're having a good time. That could have ended worse, though, and maybe not had a good giggly time had that gone a little bit wrong.
Racing teammates is a bit of a sketchy thing. I like racing this guy right here, Richard Regan, a little hard. But sometimes you like to race your teammates a little bit harder just because, they're your go-to rivals. And keeping it clean is what makes it all fun. And that's where you get those smiles, laughs, and giggles from.
I agree with that. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure tonight with you guys. You can catch both these guys every Wednesday night here on Green Flag TV, part of the premier sim racing, sim gaming Expo Truck Series. As we begin to wrap up tonight's broadcast, I want to remind you, if you missed any part of this race, you can catch this race and every race from the Blazing Pedals ARCA Series here on the Green Flag TV YouTube channel. Big shout out to Dustin and Ollis for making us look good by pushing the buttons and all the cameras behind the booth. And in 1 week from tonight, this league goes to New Atlanta, the Super Speedway version, August 3rd, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Justin Prince, probably likely back on the call. But I want to say once again, congrats to Justin Levine for the win here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. I want to say thank you to everyone for helping out. Thank you for all the racers. So long and good night from Charlotte Motor Speedway.